Been a pattern for the last 2 years or so. Once these girls they say my fiance, it's a wrap on anything that the dude does is stupid, any kind of abuse, any. I turn this. Okay, there we go. Now it's on. I'm having microphone issues. You saw from the last show, I sent that sucker back. I got a new one, but I still don't know how to work it, but I think I just figured it out. But anyway, welcome to day 1 of May Dayz. This is our 3-day, 4-hour each day live stream series. I've done this a couple of times. It's not really an annual thing, but I have done it a couple of times. And I think it's easier for me to do than video a day February. You know, I was just thinking about that because I was looking at, the work that it took me and rushing around I did to get ready just for 3 days. We have 4 guests. And I thought, God, how did I do that? 5 years, February, something every single day for 28 days. I'm like, I can't even fathom what kind of energy I must have had back in those days because I sure don't have it now. I just don't have it. Hey, Ash, welcome to the show. So the first hour, I have a guest coming on. He's going to join us at 4, I think. Let me consult my schedule over here to make sure I'm not lying on this man. Yeah. He's coming at 4. And but for the first hour, we're going to talk about some stuff I saw online. And then after the guests leave, we'll do some advice column stuff. And one of the things that I saw that I thought was really interesting was this article that people are going back to having house parties. Have you guys heard about that? It's like, it says, house parties are the new speed dating, the surprising dating trend taken over in 2026. So it's like all these young people think this stuff is new, right? This stuff is so old. I mean, my parents and grandparents used to have house parties. And they used to have something, my auntie told me they used to have something called a rent party, where somebody didn't have enough money for the rent. The weekend before rent was due, they would have a rent party and everybody would have to pay, like $1 or something. And just bring your own bottle. And then the person would have snacks and whatnot, and they would play the music and they'd have a party and they called it a rent party. So they would be able to make their rent in time. I thought, well, this is really creative. But anyway, yeah, so these people are, just like with the music, oh God, my makeshift shelf here. They are, they recycle stuff from the past, and then for all these millennials and Gen Z's people, it's like it's new because they just never heard of it, and some of them parents never heard of it either. So this article, this guy named Trevor wrote it, and he says, years ago, a first date meant dinner and drinks after bumping into an interesting person at the gym, the grocery store, or a coffee shop. More importantly, it was a meeting after an initial connection on a dating app. Today, however, it might increasingly mean chatting someone up at a house party, indicating an unexpected shift and where American romance is heading. Like so many people are burnt out on online dating. They just can't do it anymore. It's like the endless, we get the letters all the time and you can go online and read people's versions of their frustration with online dating. But, until they come up with something new, then people were pretty much stuck. That's like the only thing to do to meet somebody. So this says across the country, singles are quietly rewriting the rules of courtship. This has been driven mainly by a combination of financial pressure, digital exhaustion, and a growing appetite for genuine connection. And that's what our guest is coming on after this is going to talk about, that genuine connection and building intimacy. So it just kind of ties in. So they did these things. They did some reviewed facts and data from leading sources, including some swipey things, Mashable, CNBC, Psychology Today, and many more, to show, the emphasis on how people are changing. And then they say something called dateflation. We have a lot of terms. There's a lot of terms I just had never heard of before that I ran into in researching for this series here. Dateflation, it says in 2026, love isn't free, and the numbers are striking. Based on BMO's Real Financial Progress Index, pulled from a survey of over 2,500 U.S. adults, the average all-in cost of a date has jumped to an astounding $189 in early 2026. Before what? Before grasping at the number, consider that this factors in everything, including pre-date grooming costs, transportation, and the actual outing itself. This is a 12.5% jump from $168 in 2025. So from 168 in 2025 to 189 in early 2026, where we are right now. That's an average date. Now, in places like New York and California, where everything is uber expensive, it's probably that's at the end of it or even higher. Because I'm trying to think like the last time I took myself out and it was just me. And I was having drinks and I had like a pizza or something and a salad and I don't know, I think I got a dessert or something. And I was just at this restaurant bar, just like chilling. And my bill was like $175 and it was just me by myself. So I couldn't imagine somebody, paying for two people. They'd have to go to someplace cheap, like, I don't know, Chipotle or Chevy's or Burger King or something. I mean, and I hear people say that even trying to take their kids out for fast food, they can't even afford to do that anymore because it's like $15, $16 for a fast food meal now. And I just can't even imagine that because that's no nutrition. Just spend that money at the grocery store. So I don't know. This was really interesting. So more and more singles are starting to pull back from online dating. That same BMO survey found that half of Americans said that they had gone on fewer dates or chosen less expensive activities simply because of the rising costs. This directly caused a drop in average date frequency from 14 outings to roughly 12 year over year. So that's like one a month. On top of this, 47% of singles polled said that for them, dating was not financially worth it. Yeah, fast food's not cheap anymore. I'm so old. I remember when you could get the McDonald's burger for $1. When they first came out, I was a little kid. When they first came out, it was $1. And that didn't last too long. I think that was just a marketing ploy. But wow, they said they found similar findings in a joint study with datingnews.com. In their data, 37% of daters were pulling back, with 33% calling the economy as the reason. So then they go into this, they sum up the article with a couple of points. The decline of traditional dating formats. Because usually when people think of date is dinner and movie or movie and drinks. There's like 2 things. They go, like, have lunch and something, dinner and bowling. There's usually 2 things, like a meal and an activity in most traditional dating. Sometimes it's just a meal. So they say that money isn't the only reason first dates look different today compared to 20 years ago. There may have there have been 2 additional drivers of note behind the shift. Number 1, dating app fatigue has hit a tipping point. Yep, people are dissatisfied with that. They're dissatisfied how they get rejected, ghosted, for those who wanna pay the cost, the fake profiles, the dangerous risks of it for people pretending to be something they're not, get the fact that people are cheating and lying, all kind of stuff is going on. And then point number 2 they bring up is expensive and high pressure events create trouble. See what that's all about. The second source of increased frustration is the actual locations of historical dates. Traditional speed dating events and formal singles mixers tend to be costly and higher pressure. There are 2 qualities increasingly at odds with what singles say they want today. One matchmaking service launched in 2025 called It's Just Lunch. 2025, they've been around. What are they talking about? That's been around for a long time. Sets up dates that feel more intentional and less performative. The hope is to provide something more organic to a modern generation of daters. So the 2 new activities are taking over for dating. So you guys report back if you are experiencing any of this. Number 1 is called house parties and friend-hosted gatherings. So the people go, they just get a bunch of random friends, and if you have a friend and each friend brings somebody, then that's automatically a whole bunch of new opportunities to meet somebody that you wouldn't have had before, which sounds like a really good idea. Not only that, everybody there will know the person. Now, how well they know them, but at least you have some point of reference. You have somebody that you can go to, for some basic foundational information about the person. Like, did they just get out of prison recently? Are they a high school dropout? I mean, what's going on? So you can get some basic information. So that I like that part. That they might have like a backyard barbecue, I don't know, birthday party at the house, like a graduation party at the house, some kind of event. They got a promotion. I know it's Saturday night. I mean, whatever reason, but it's gonna be a local, with people that know each other will be the ones in attendance. Okay, then the other new type of dating format taken over in 2026 is activity-based and low-cost dates, with people yearning for a return to in-person first meetings. The dates they go on are changing as well. Activity-based dating has gained traction as an alternative to dinner and drinks because of lower costs. Experts quoted in the New York Post in the late 2025 timeframe recommend sports leagues. Sports, unless it's high school, that's cost a heck of money. Professional sport tickets, fitness classes, hiking groups, and community events as effective avenues for meeting potential partners or for date spots. So what do you guys think about that? Would you prefer that? Take a vote. Take a vote. Yes, no. House parties is a new speed dating. Okay, so as I do these articles, I'm going to throw them out. So I got way too much paper here, just way too much. Guys, let's going to do some advice columns because I have like 108 questions. I don't know if I can just pull every single question that was left over in the inbox and put them in here. So even if I don't, no matter the ones I don't finish for the May Dayz, I will be using them for future columns until I get all the way through them. So let's do some advice columns question before Rob comes on. Question number 1. This young lady's 22 to 27 and she's from Annapolis. Summary of issue. I didn't respond to my boyfriend's quote urgent calls and messages in the middle of the night and now he's pissed. This is a what would Deb do question. I'm 24 and I went to bed around 11:30 after a long work day. My boyfriend, who is 25, had been out with his friends and seemed fine when we last spoke. So I put my phone on silent because I had an early shift the next day. At 2:15 in the morning, he started calling and texting me repeatedly saying it was urgent. I didn't see anything until the morning. When I woke up, I saw 12 missed calls and a bunch of messages saying that I was ignoring him and I quote, clearly don't care, end quote. I called him back as soon as I saw it, and it turned out that the quote emergency was that he couldn't find his TV remote and wanted me to help him think of where he left it. Did you hear this? He gonna call her and wake her up at 2:15 in the morning to ask her about his remote at his house. Okay. I told him that didn't really qualify as urgent and that I was asleep anyway. He got really offended and said that I should, quote, always be available for him. Wow. Especially if he's stressed and that I'm selfish for putting my phone on silent. He also said that I embarrassed him by not responding like a, quote, I'm like supportive partner. Now he's barely speaking to me and says I don't take his feelings seriously. I think this is ridiculous. But some of his friends say I should have just answered quickly to, quote, calm him down. I'm now feeling rather crappy about all this situation as I don't really think or believe this is urgent situation at all. Deb, am I wrong? What would you say to him? I would say, well, okay. I decided I'm going to watch my language for the next 3 days. And so I'm not going to use as much profanity as I normally would. I have guests. I need to be on my good behavior. But basically, he would have got this, but the verbal version of it. And then I would tell him, you know what? You too stupid for me to date. You're too inconsiderate and you're too much of a big baby. You need somebody to hold your hand and change your pampers. I can't be that person for you. So we're done here, sir. It's a wrap. Now, she's young. She's only in the 22 to 27 age group. She said how old? Oh, she's 24. Okay, he's 25. So she's young yet. She doesn't really have the frame of reference to understand what this man, what his behavior indicates and what it means long term. She doesn't have it yet. If she was old like me and she knew that this man is hella stupid and there's no redeeming value in this relationship whatsoever, then she would leave him alone. If you got somebody who's that codependent and that irresponsible, that thoughtless and that inconsiderate, that's not a good partner. Instead of him apologizing for trying to wake her up at 2:15, saying, I don't know what happened, I lost my mind, I was stupid, he gonna argue with her about it and try to blame her for not doing it, calling her not being a good partner, not being supportive of your TV remote being misplaced. Child, I just don't know. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. As you asked, what would Deb do? I just told you. But we would be in this. Deb wouldn't be in this relationship anymore because I would have had to sit up in the bed and look at all them 12 missed calls about a TV remote, and I would have took a deep breath and, like I said, commenced to cussing him out, and then told him to lose my number and forget you ever saw my face because that's too much. That's over the top. What you think, Ash? I just, woo, this guy's a piece of work. Okay, let's do another question here. This young lady's 22 to 27 from El Paso. Did I overreact for refusing to babysit my sister's kids after what she said at dinner? My sister has 3 children under the age of 10, and somehow over the last few years, I had became the default backup parent. I work from home, so everybody decided that means I'm always free babysitter. That I'm always free, rather. Babysitter cancels, she calls me. Kid has a fever, she calls me. Sometimes she doesn't even ask anymore. She just texts, dropping them off in 20, like I'm a daycare she already paid for or something. I didn't push back much because I love my nieces and nephews, and honestly, her husband is useless half the time unless somebody's actively watching him parent. Plus, after my miscarriage last year, I think I kind of threw myself into helping people so I didn't have to think too much about my own life. Oh, that's sad. But last Sunday, we were having dinner at my parents' place, and my mom joked that I should start charging daycare rates. Everybody laughed except my sister. She goes, well, it's not like she has a real job anyway. She just sits at home on her laptop all day. I laughed at first because I thought she was kidding, but she kept going, saying that she has an actual exhausting life because she's raising kids Well, I just answer emails all day with no husband, no kids, and no responsibilities. Okay, she said no kids to a woman who just had a miscarriage. Did y'all catch that? Okay. It got super quiet after that because everybody at the table knows about the miscarriage. Even my dad looked uncomfortable and immediately tried changing the subject. I just grabbed my stuff and left because I could literally feel myself starting to cry, and I wasn't about to do that in front of everybody over some box wine and dry ass chicken parm. Since then, since then, I've stopped helping completely. No babysitting, no emergency pickups. Nothing. Now she's freaking out because apparently childcare keeps falling through and she has to miss work sometimes. Yesterday, she called saying I'm punishing innocent kids over one stupid joke and that she was clearly kidding. But honestly, it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like one of those things somebody has been thinking about for a long time and finally let slip out. Now my mom wants me to let it go because the kids are stressed and my sister is overwhelmed. My dad says he gets why I'm hurt, but thinks I'm dragging it out too much. Part of me feels guilty because the kids didn't do anything wrong, but another part of me feels like we live like I've basically been free labor for years, and the second I stop being useful, suddenly I'm selfish and dramatic. I don't know anymore. Maybe I'm doing too much, but I'm still really pissed about it. And I think you didn't ask me what would Deb do, but you did exactly what I would have done. It's like you don't appreciate it, you don't appreciate me, and you think that, my work that pays the bill for the house where you bring your kids and drop them off is just me playing around all day? Bish, you know, keep your kids at your house or do whatever you're gonna do with them. Like, what's wrong with her husband? Why can't he worry about the child care sometimes? And it's like if you don't have a good situation for your kids and got shaky daycare and stuff, why you keep having babies? What's that all about? You should have stopped after you had one. You can't manage without bunch of people stepping in, helping you. Then you need to have reevaluate your birth control. You shouldn't have had no more kids. You did too much and trying to make it be other people's problems because you couldn't pop the pill. No. And that's what she would have got from me. It's like, oh, wait, was I in the bed making any of these 3 children? That means they're not my responsibility, not my business. And mom and dad, if you think that it's such a good thing to take care of kids all day for free, you do it. You step up and do it. Because I'm done. I've been doing it for years and I'm finished. That ship has sailed and I really don't care what kind of problem she has, what her daycare situation is, or what happens with her kids, because they're not my problem. She didn't care about my kid that I just lost and said some nasty stuff like that to me, then guess what? You're going to worry about your kid yourself and you're going to get back the same kind of dramatic pain that you gave me. And that'll teach her to shut her mouth and then just let her suffer. Let her suffer. But yeah, I wouldn't do nothing. And don't even look for no birthday or Christmas presents from me either. I would double down on the hatred. Yeah. Thank you, Honey Lee. Oh, Ting TV, you made the live. Yes, good for you. Yeah, usually I'm not on this early, but this is a special event. We got 3 days of this live stream for 4 hours. I don't know why I did that to myself. 2 hours should have been plenty. I could have done 5 days for 2 hours. That probably would have been better. But I decided to do 4-hour live streams, and I decided to do 3 days of them, and I don't know why I did that. So this is the first day. This is the first hour of the first day, as a matter of fact. So let's move on. Let's do question number 3. This young lady's 22 to 27. She's from San Luis Obispo. So I have an issue. Am I a selfish bitch for removing all my items from the shared kitchen? I'm a 24-year-old university student. God, I can't talk. Living with 2 of my classmates. So she's at Cal State San Luis Obispo. They're 21 to 22, and we live in a 3-bedroom apartment. We moved in together in August of 2024, as none of us got places in the dorm. We have a shared kitchen and bathroom, including a washing machine. Oh, that's nice. That's convenient. We don't have a dishwasher, and washing clothes has been a constant issue. Washing dishes, I'm sorry. If I cook, which I do often, I will wash everything as I go and then wash everything left directly after eating. My roommates, on the other hand, don't wash stuff immediately, and the dirty dishes tend to accumulate over multiple days when one of us finally caves in and washes them. That person is sometimes me, even though I usually don't have a single dish in the pile. But after a while, it bothers me too much. Yeah, we want to be living in a nasty kitchen and trying to cook put around nasty dishes and stuff. That's gross. This semester has gotten so bad that my roommates have basically started to refuse to even wash utensils. The last straw was when I got back after a weekend home, and I mean all of the utensils were on the bottom of the sink. There wasn't a single clean teaspoon in the drawer. Wow. Or the drying rack. The sink was full with everything. I didn't want to wash them just out of principle, but it generally smelled bad, and I didn't want to get fruit flies again. There were pieces of pasta and really disgusted rotting vegetables in the sink, and the drain was completely clogged. I almost threw up. Ugh. Another issue was one of my roommates would just eat food I bought and use my laundry detergent and expensive olive oil without asking. I had a glass lunchbox that I kept in my room and left in the drying rack for a night, and it went missing by morning with both of my roommates saying they never saw it. So I got really angry after I had to wash everything and moved everything that I bought into my room. This included the only spatula, a cheese grater, the big knives, a big pot, two pans, utensils and plates, not all, and even the kitchen towels and the cooking items you really don't want to share, like my olive oil and honey. I sent a message to our group chat saying I'm really fed up with them not washing up and using my stuff, and that I removed everything that's mine. They initially didn't say anything, but when they saw how many items that are actually mint and that it's basically impossible to cook in the kitchen now, they got really mad with me and said I'm a huge asshole for doing that. I said it's all mine and I just let them use my stuff. Now they refuse to talk to me. Was I being petty and a huge a-hole, as they said, or is this just the bottom line? No, you did right. When people don't appreciate and disrespect you and your property, that's what you're supposed to do. If they don't show the proper respect for it and treat it treat it like you would if since it's yours, then they don't deserve to use it. So you did exactly what you should have done. You stood up for yourself. You put a strong boundary in place. It's not like you didn't ask them to clean it up before. You asked them multiple times. They had multiple times since August of 2024 to get their act together, and they didn't do it. So when you finally got, to the point where you realized and accepted that they don't care, which is what their behavior is communicating, then you took your stuff, boxed your stuff up, and put your stuff in your room, which is where it should be. So when you want to use it, like you should get you one of those little carry-all things like they have for gardeners. It's like a little like a flat bucket thing with little slots or something on each side. And you put your olive oil in your pot and pan and spoons and knives, whatever you're going to use in that thing, bring it to the kitchen, wash your stuff, put it back in a little thing, and carry it back to your room. That's what you do. And then that way you don't ever need to leave anything in the drying rack. You didn't, it's unfortunate you didn't think of that, but you could have just put it on a fresh towel in your room somewhere, on the counter in the bathroom, your table in your room or something to let it dry there so that you have your stuff. I have one of those glass lunch boxes too. So it goes in the microwave to carry my food because it's better than plastic if you're going to microwave something. But yeah, I would be pissed if somebody took it. So I feel you. I think you did exactly the right thing. And I like the fact that you put a boundary in place and you maintained it. You backed it up. Good for you. And you're not don't be intimidated by them. They don't want to talk to you. That's fine. Let they little dirty, nasty asses go hungry in the apartment, or they could go over to the dollar store and buy them some cheap dishes and pots and pans and whatnot. That's not your problem. Okay. Okay. Ting, you got the green face on. That's what I'm saying. It's just gross. Okay, let me just show you guys. This is our schedule for today. This is our schedule for today. So, we just doing relationship talks. I just switched that up and decided to throw in some advice questions as well. And then at 4, we have author Rob Thomas coming in, Wordless Connections with Your Partner. And then we'll go back and do some more articles, topics, and discussion. And you guys will be able to call in. I'll put the number up and stuff after he's done. And then at 6, we have Kari coming in. She's funny. Her talk is called Hot Mess and Holy Ground, the Power of Owning Your Authenticity, which I thought is a really good one for a lot of the young ladies who don't really seem to have a strong sense of themselves, and they pitch around and change themselves and try to be everybody's, be what everybody wants so that they'll be liked. So I was so happy she responded to my inquiry for a guest speaker. So that's what's on deck for today. And each day we have something different. We have different guests and slightly different stuff going on. Okay. If you haven't already, go on over to the YouTube and take that poll. That'll poll up for Rob's presentation. Okay, question 4. This is young man, 28 to 34. Ew, you in the Netherlands? Oh, wow. I don't even know what to say. Well, I'm glad that you still awake. I'm impressed. I ordered some hair products from the Netherlands. This company, what's this company called? I think it's called H&H, something like that. Something like that. And I love her stuff. I mean, it's hell getting it here from the Netherlands to the USA and California, but I really like her products. So it's been amazing. All right, so let's see my free commercial for my little pitch for her stuff. So this guy, he's from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Summer issue. Am I wrong for wanting to call off my wedding because of how my fiance treated me? Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know. I can't remember. I just know I used it. You know what? After the show is after a break, I'll find one of the bottles, and then I'll know for sure what it is. That's kind of embarrassing. Okay, how his fiance treated me on our West Coast vacation. Quick prelude. My family situation is complicated, so I really have a terrible reference point for healthy long-term relationships. My parents have been divorced 5 times between them, my dad twice and my mom 3 times. Wow. I'm surprised they could find people to marry that many times. Anyways, the reason for this letter is that I'm 31, and my fiance, she's 30, just got back from a vacation to celebrate her graduation from college and getting a job in her field. We've been together for 6 years. And as she is an immigrant to the U.S. with none of her credits transferring over, she has been in college for a total of 8 years to get her degree. I began planning and budgeting 2 trips back in January, one to Tampa, one to L.A. And once I had rough budgets and itineraries, I showed them to her and let her pick which one she'd rather go on. I have a pretty good job, but with supporting both of us in school and our wedding coming up later this year, I was only able to budget a 5-day, 4-night trip to either location. She immediately picked LA and began adding in her own ideas for what to do. After that, I booked everything for the trip, and besides a slight hiccup in getting our passport cards, we were ready to go and got there on the first day bright and early at 9 a.m. The first day went well. We hit more than what we wanted to do. The issues really started on day 2. I just drove us over to Santa Monica to have breakfast before we explored the pier. Oh, that's nice. It's fun there. We got seated outside on a patio, and the second the waiter left, she turned on me to grill me about the length of the vacation. Why only 5 days? You only did it because you're used to white people holidays. Wow. Waste of money to come for only 5 days. So stupid. Wow. She really only stopped when the waiter came by to take our order. Thankfully, the restaurant was fairly empty, so it wasn't public, but still, I could tell people walking by could overhear our conversation. When I asked why she was only bringing this up now, she said she was too busy with school to look at the itinerary, even though she had made a ton of changes to the plan. That doesn't make any sense. It really just set the tone for the rest of the trip. She would bring it up anytime we were stuck in traffic, which, hey, it's LA. This is near concert. You right. What you mean near? Take near out. They have traffic jams at 3 in the damn morning. Waiting in line for the Getty or the Griffith Observatory. When I didn't take pictures to her liking, she would sulk and tell me there was enough time for me to take this many bad photos. Wow. I still tried to have a good time, and we did a ton of stuff on the days we had, but still it was a miserable cloud over every hour that passed. But now that we're back and I'm thinking about it, it seems insanely disrespectful and rude. Why is this paper sticking together? To yell at your fiance that planned, booked, and paid for a trip cross country to celebrate your graduation because it wasn't as long as you wanted it to be. I have tried to talk to her about it, but her response is just, how lucky are you that I'm so good that this is what you have to complain about, end quote, which honestly makes me question committing the rest of my life to be with her. There have been other things too, obviously, that are in line with this behavior, but I'm just writing to you because as someone who has seen so many failed relationships in my family, and with no time for a therapist, it's just a guy who wants to check on whether canceling a wedding over this is even remotely appropriate. In case you are wondering, no, I did not sponsor her to come to the US. I met her after she'd been here a year through some friends and went to college with her. Well, I'm going to say this, my young brother, you are better than me, because I would still be cussing her out, telling you like, bitch, I done paid all this money to take your raggedy ass on a trip, and this the best you can do? Do you want to complain about it? Why didn't you come out with some money then? You want to add more days? Where was your investment in this trip? If you wanted to add a couple of days, why didn't you write a check to do that? Instead, you're gonna complain about what I do. Guess what? I'm not doing squat else for you. I tell you that. You on your own from here on out. And we would have went to some, rounds to some events and stuff, some little excursions or whatever, these little spots you talking about. She would have to pay her own admission. I wouldn't have paid shit else for her. It's like, no, you complain. Everything I do is not good enough. You is not to your princess liking. So you make it work in the best way that you can. If you don't have no money, then I guess you better stay here at the hotel. I don't know what to tell you. And that would have just been that. And then we would have got on a plane and went back home. And then, just like you said, this kind of person here, this ungrateful, rude, condescending, and disrespectful kind of woman she doesn't have any of those kind of things for you. I don't know if you've been helping her, support her while she was in school. There has to be some reason why she kept all that under wraps. For the most part, you said there've been other situations, but there was some reason why some advantage that she was getting to staying in this relationship with you. And now, talking about getting married to you and stuff, she's starting to show her ass. So what you need to do is deuce out on this with the quickness. Whatever money you put into this wedding for deposits and stuff, it should be early enough. You said it's later in the year, but you didn't say what month. It should be early enough, since this is only May, for you to cancel and get all, if not a good portion of any deposits you made back. And then, just start telling people, oh, this ain't happening. It's not going to happen. I'm not marrying her. I don't want to be stuck to somebody who thinks it's okay to talk to me like that. And that's the main thing that you have to, resolve with yourself. Is why would you marry someone who obviously does not respect you? And I know for a fact that any woman that you can talk to can tell you the same thing. If a woman doesn't respect a man, she cannot love him. She will tolerate him. She might like him a little. She might, find some value in him, like to use him for some reason. Just like men use women, so don't get all bent out of shape, because, people be out here using each other for whatever, a place to stay, sex, somebody help take care of their kids, whatever. People, have different needs, and they find somebody to fill them. So there's something going on there. But what you don't want to do is get married to somebody like this, tie yourself with this person financially and emotionally, and have kids with that person who are also tied in financially and emotion, and just wreck everybody's life with somebody like this. You don't want to do it. You can already see what kind of person she is. So pay attention, my brother. Pay attention. Pay attention. Okay. What is this? Okay, I don't know what I did there. All right. Wow, that was kind of amazing. That was not the lick. All right, let's do question 5. And like I said, I think it's 85 questions altogether in this document. There's 100 and something pages long. It's like so many questions. So many questions. I don't know what to say. I do know though, Candace has been working on this for like months. Because as soon as I decided to do May Dayz, she said, how many questions you going to do? I said, I don't know, I need questions for all 3 days. And she started. So it ended up being 85 questions. So let's do number 5. It's only 80 to go. This young guy is 22 to 27 out of Houston. Some of the issue, I cut off my friend after he didn't pay me back, and he had the nerve to tell me to get over it. Wow. The disrespect amongst these friends and fiancés is kind of amazing. I cut off my friend after he didn't pay me back and told me to get over it. Okay, so last month, one of my friends asked me to borrow some money. He said he needed to take his girl out and said he would pay me back after the weekend since he got paid on Monday. I was kind of broke myself, but I didn't really have much going on, so I gave it to him. Next week rolls around, I asked if I could have my money back because I needed it for gas and groceries, and I didn't want to dip into my savings for that since I take great pride in my budgeting skills. He aired me for like 5 days, and after that, he just told me straight up that he couldn't pay me back since he had bills to pay and couldn't miss that money. It's not like I would be evicted without the money, but it's not like he had known that. He didn't tell me he had an unexpected payment he needed to make, and that's why he came up short. So it feels like he didn't have any intention to pay me back in the first place. Last night, he asked me if I wanted to do something, and I just kind of brushed him off. Then he asked me if I was upset with him because I hadn't reached out in a while, and I told him the money situation pissed me off. He politely told me to get over it. Wow. I tried to explain to him that it isn't about the amount of money, but that he didn't keep his promise. That could have been my last $200. I could have not been able to pay my bills, groceries, or buy gas for my car because I didn't have it. And I gave it to him in good faith of getting it back quickly. I don't really want to hang out with people who got their priorities all twisted up, especially if it hinders me. The thing that bothers me the most is that he's been a friend for half my life. I don't know if I'm being dramatic, if I'm right for this. What do you think? Oh, no, no, no. Sometimes, you got to test people. You should have tested them with like $50. That's my thing. People ask me for money, I give them $50. Why? Because $50 is money I can afford to lose. And I cannot tell you how many ratchet people have been disappeared from my life for $50. It's like a goodbye motherfucker fee. That's what I call it. Because I'm giving them, they feel like they can't face me because they owe me money. And it was only $50. I mean, you get somebody who's insincere, a user, a liar, and a jerk out of your life for the special discount price of $50. To me, that's a good deal. Because if I stayed friends with them over a period of time, I don't know, I'm a generous person. Like if I'm going out somewhere, oh, come with me, I don't have any money. Okay, fine, I got you. Let's go, kind of thing. So I would have spent way more than $50 on them, plus birthday presents, Christmas presents, this kind of stuff. So to get that discounted, that deep, dark, under the basement price of $50 to get rid of them, I consider that to be a good deal. And it's probably been, let me think. I can think of 6 right off the top of my head, probably more than that if I really thought about it. But 6 people that I got rid of for, a total of $300. I would have spent way more than that in a year, you know what I mean, with gifts and stuff. So I'm like, wow, this is all right. I can do this. So the only thing I can think that you did wrong, sir, was that he told you he wanted to use the money to take out a girl. That's not, you don't loan people money for stuff like that. Because that's like fun stuff. Like, people need if he lied, he should have made up a better lie. Like, my light's about to get cut off, my cell phone's about to get cut off, something like that. That was the son of, I need, my tire got flat, I need some help getting a tire, something like that. You can get loan money for situations like that. It should be when the person is in a crisis, not when they're just want to spend some money to have fun that they don't have. They're living outside their means. You don't loan people money in situations like that. You tell them to go pick up some cans and bottles and wait till the next weekend after you get paid. I say, no, I can't do that. So that to me was where you went wrong. And I would, like, if somebody asked me some money to take somebody out, I told them no. I'm not, especially for another dude, I'm not investing in your sex life. For me to pay for you to take out abroad, that's me paying for your sex life. No matter how you put a spin on it, that's essentially what it is. So I'm like, he wouldn't have got no money out of me not for that. Okay, let's do one more. Question 6. This young lady's 22 to 27. She's out of Denver. Summer issue. I told my dad that he cannot invite his girlfriend to my graduation because my mom paid for the trip, and now he's upset. I'm 22 and graduating from college in 2 weeks. My parents divorced when I was 11. They are civil now, but they are not friends. I love my dad, but he has always been the parent who shows up only if it's easy. My mom was the one who showed up when it was not. She worked extra shifts, drove me everywhere, helped with forms, cried with me when I almost dropped out, and somehow still made me feel like I was not a burden. My graduation is 7 hours from home, and I only got 4 guest tickets. I invited my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and my grandma. My grandmother helped raise me when my mom was struggling, so having her there matters a lot. My mom booked an Airbnb months ago for herself, my brother, my grandma, and me. She also paid for the rental car and gas because my brother and grandma could not afford the trip. My dad said he would drive himself and get a cheap motel. Then last night he said money was tight and he might not come. I tried to act like I understood, but I was hurt. My mom quietly offered to pay for one hotel night so he could still be there. She said, "You deserve to have both parents there, even though I know it costs her more than just money." Yeah, because she had to eat some pride to offer to do that for that clown. But last week, my dad called, sounded all happy, and said that his girlfriend got the weekend off and she was coming too. They've only been dating for 8 months. I met her twice. It's not like she's evil or anything, but she's not close to me. At my brother's birthday dinner, she kept calling herself the bonus mom, and my brother looked like he just wanted to disappear. I asked my dad what he meant by Kara was coming. He said she wanted to, quote, support me and was, quote, basically family. I told him I did not have a ticket for her. He said that she could still come to dinner, take pictures, and hang out at the Airbnb. I said no, because the Airbnb was paid for my mom, but for the people that I invited. He said, but Kara would not mind sleeping on the couch at the Airbnb. Wait a minute. Who invited you to stay at the Airbnb? Wow. That honestly made me snap a little. I told him the couch was not the point. The point was that my mom paid so he could come watch his daughter graduate, not so he could turn it into a couple's weekend. He got upset and said my mom always gets to be the main parent, and he just wanted someone there so he wouldn't feel awkward. I told him this weekend was not about making him comfortable. It was about me graduating. And I wanted one weekend where my mom was not expected to swallow her feelings and fix everyone else's. He said if Kara wasn't welcome, then maybe he should just stay home. I said that was his choice, but I was not giving up my brother or grandmother's spot, and I was not asking my mom to host his girlfriend. Now my aunt says I humiliated him and made Kara feel unwanted. Tough shit. My dad texted, I hope you're making your point was worth it. My mom says she supports me, but I can tell she feels guilty. I do want my dad there. I just hate that even my graduation has somehow turned into everyone worrying about his feelings. Am I wrong? Nope, you're not wrong at all. And I think, you're very polite and everything because it is your father, and you guys don't have the family dynamics that we have, because I used to cuss my daddy out. But all the cussing that I learned how to do that from him and his side of the family. That's how they talk to each other. So it's like either you sink or swim. Either you become one with it or you get run over by it. And I became one with it. So he got to clowning with me. I cussed his behind out a couple of times. But he was like, "Oh, where you learn all that?" I said, from you and your sisters. So I just had to laugh because it was, it was just, I'm like a mini me on him. So, your daddy would have got, if it was me, he would have got a dose of that. But the main thing is, your mom, talk to your mom and let her know that your mom, don't feel guilty. You did over and above. You did way more than which would ever be required to try to support me in having him there. But he has to do his part. So don't feel bad. And they're not coming to the Airbnb. And really, at this point, if it's that much of a problem for him, then he's right. He doesn't need to come, and that's fine. Get one of your aunties or somebody to come and use that other ticket, and that person can sleep on the couch. Somebody that you actually have a relationship with, that's in your family. Like, maybe not that close, but usually it's like an aunt would be the person that would step in and use that other ticket. All right. I don't even know what to say. Your daddy is wild, just out of control. So for those of you who wandered in recently, this is what's going on today. We're doing May Dayz. This is day 1 of the 3-day live stream series, 4 hours each day. I hope I make it. And we got a guest coming on in a little bit here, about 15 minutes. Rob Thomas will come and join us and talk about how to connect with your partner without using so many words, because y'all be talking, you be saying dumb stuff and hurtful things and stuff you really shouldn't say. And those words, once you can't, it's like the jury. They be telling you in court, the jury shall disregard those statements. Oh, that don't happen. in real life, that does not happen. That only happens on TV. Because as soon as you say that in real court, that's like burned into the jury's memory banks because it's something that they've been told that they shouldn't remember. So now everybody's gonna remember. They're gonna focus on it. That's like the number one thing they're gonna remember. So it's like that with your marriage and your relationships. You say some crazy stuff, you think somebody's gonna get over it, and you can just apologize. This way it don't work like that. So you need to watch what you say. And so Robert's gonna come in and tell you how you can just shut up and build a better relationship. He probably would not agree with me saying it that way, but basically, after I looked at his book, that's pretty much what it is. People talk too much and they don't know what they're talking about. So let's move on and do question number 7. We got time to do another question. I'm with you, Ting. I think mom gets two thumbs up. She's good. She supported her kid. Can't nobody say that lady didn't do her good mothering with that child. Question number 7. This is a young man, 28 to 34. He's in Tokyo. So I'm at issue. My girlfriend spends all her money chasing her music career and expects me to cover the bills. I love her, but I'm starting to feel more like her sponsor than her partner. We've been together for 3 years, living together for 2. We talked about having kids someday. We have a cat. We have a couple. Years ago, we got a loan and moved to the capital because she wanted more opportunities for her music career. I'm in the creative industry too, so I was fully on board with it because I love her and I wanted to support her dream. But honestly, money has become a huge issue lately. Living here is expensive as hell and every month feels tight. I've suggested pausing her projects and getting a side job so we can save up some money. But she refuses because this is where and when the opportunities are, and says stopping or doing something else would destroy all her efforts and her dreams. The thing is, she's constantly broke, but somehow always has money for music-related stuff. Studio sessions, equipment, vocal coaching, paying producers, whatever new thing she says she needs to invest in herself, end quote. Then when payments are due or groceries come around, suddenly she's short, and I end up covering it. Oh, so you getting pimped. That's what's happening here. Every single time I try to bring it up, she turns it into me not believing in her enough or not supporting her dream. She says success takes sacrifice, and I need to trust the process. Wow, she's good. But at this point, it feels like supporting her and more like subsidizing her life while she chases a dream with my money. There you go. You finally woke up. What sucks is I do believe in her. I love her. I want her to make it. But she's changed a lot. She used to be way more practical and actually think about us as a team. Now it feels like everything revolves around her career, and I'm just expected to keep things afloat financially because one day it'll supposedly all pay off. Meanwhile, the economy is trash and prices keep going up, so every dollar matters. I'm watching my own savings disappear while she keeps acting like spending money she doesn't have is somehow responsible because of, quote, for the future. Deb, I love her, but I'm getting resentful, and I hate that I'm starting to feel more like her sponsor than her partner. How do I talk to her about this spending in our finances without making it a confrontation? And how do I get her to actually hear me? I don't know, because sound like you just been kind of wimping through this whole thing, my brother. I mean, I hate to say it because you sound like a really nice guy, but you've been letting yourself be taken advantage of unfairly for so long. And the thing that bothers me the most about situations like this is not your wife. Why are you doing all this for her? This is just a mere girlfriend. You don't have these kind of responsibilities and obligations to her. And you need to remind her of that. It's like, whoa, let's pull up on this. Because right now, if you can't come up with your part of groceries and stuff, then you're not going to eat. And you're not going to stay here. You're going to have to find someplace else to live and all that because I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to be taking care of you like you're my child. And I'm not going to be fronting your life while you chase a dream. I mean, just fine you have a dream, but that's not my dream. So my money should not be going for your dream, and you ain't even my wife. And at this rate, you're not gonna be. You're not my child and you're not my wife. So your dreams and your life and your expenses are not my responsibility. I want to make that real clear to you so you understand. The buck stops here. I'm not paying shit else for you. And I'm covering your holes. You're gonna pay your share of the bills around this house, and you're gonna pay your share of groceries. If you can't do it and you too broke, then you need to move out. So pick one. It's gonna be one of those two things. And then just, that's it. I doubt that you'll be able to do that, though. Something tells me that you won't be able to do that, you poor young thing. But that's what I have to say. That's what I think is going to happen. Okay. She's going to, she's going to try to guilt trip you just like she was doing before. And then you're going to probably fold, and that'll be that. Okay. I wonder where Rob is. I hope he shows up soon. Guess I'll just start on another letter. I have so many, so even if he doesn't make it, I guess I know he should, because we've been in good conversation. We've been in contact back and forth. All right, so let's do question number 8. This looks like a short one. This young lady's 35 to 41. She says she's from the USA. The male is in the same age group. She says some of issue dumb things that men do after the first date. Hey, Deb and Squad, thank you for taking the time to read this letter. I'll keep it brief. Thank you. I recently decided to go on a date with this guy a few years older than me. The date was normal, dinner, movie, he paid. However, the one thing that's bugging me is that he asked to chill after the date was over. I had already gone home. At least I don't have to waste my time in the future, but I'm so disgusted that he asked. I didn't respond. I've taken a long break from dating, and after this, I'm going back on hiatus. The fact that he asked felt sleazy. Yeah, he felt like, he paid that money so that he's entitled to some booty. That's what that was. There would be no reason for him to approach you that way. Oh, Rob just got here. Very good. Hold on, Rob. I'll be with you in a minute. So this is unfortunate, especially that he's this old, and he talked to you in such a way that was very disrespectful. But, you understood what time it was, and you responded appropriately. And so thank you for sharing your story. This is a common theme we see lately. A lot of disrespect out there. All right. Oh, my makeshift shelf is not shelving very well. Okay. Yeah, let me get Rob over here. We're going to get Rob on. But first, let me do a little introduction. So what if the word that you're using to try to fix your relationship are the problem? So our first guest for May Dayz is Rob Thomas. He's the author of Mindless Connection, Deepen Intimacy Without Saying a Word, Even If You Are Married. That's the subtitle. He explains how to resist the urge to speak and communicate your love using nonverbal methods that build trust, emotional safety, and intimacy. So Rob, hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Let me get, I forgot to put my headphones on. Sorry about that. Have to change gears here. There you are. Okay.
How you doing?
Oh, fine. I was saying, was he talking? Because I didn't hear anything. It's like, oh, no. Hi, Rob.
Just excited to be here.
Oh, we're more excited than you are. So let's talk about this, because I was really, one of the things that I see a lot is I think people talk too much. They talk too much. And they was talking with the words that they're saying are things that are destructive to the relationship. They hurt their feelings. They're full of disrespect. They don't show any kind of patience or empathy. And and they think that they're being honest and that they're helping. So what do you have to say about this? How, I'm really interested in hearing your theories.
Sure. I think there are a couple of things as you talk about that. There's been research, and I originally kind of ran into this when I was in college, and when I kind of came up, or ran into the need and the opportunity for this wordless connection. I remembered this research that I came across when I was in college, and it highlighted that there are 3 channels in which we communicate. One is verbal, that's the words we use. Tonation, intonation is really whether our words are high or low. It's really kind of the emphasis that we put in. So it could be, wow, it's a great day. Or we could say, hey, you look great. Or you could say the same words and say, oh, you look great. And so really uh, uh, kind of flavor that. And then finally, the third area, the third channel is body language. And the thing that came out in this research was that um, words are important. They do have meaning. However, if when you have tone, when you add the tone and it's in conflict with the words, like again, oh, you look great. Well, it's sounding like maybe I don't mean that.
Right.
Well, then uh, then people believe the tone. And interestingly enough, when someone speaks, if the body language is in conflict with both tone and words, they believe the body. We can say, "Oh, hey, I'm paying attention, but I'm looking out the window," or "I'm a safe driver, I'm reading my phone or something." Uh, even though words and tone were really, positive, uh, what I'm really doing changes that. And so there is this opportunity where, in some ways, our body, and I'm going to get more into this in a moment, is really kind of a truth detector or a truth displayer. We believe what our body is displaying uh, more than anything else. And so if we are trying to share with our partner or our spouse, if we're trying to share with them that we care, there are ways that we can eliminate perhaps potential uh, things that distract us through words and tone, and we use just the body. And what we find, again, through research, not only my own experience, but I did some national research on this, is that our bodies respond differently. And when we connect through this wordless connection way, we're not thinking in our head. We're not, whatever's in our head is in our head, but the person that we're dealing with does not get that. What they get is something that I talk about in the book is from our heart. And so it is something that is a connection. And when we get, and I talk about this in the book, when we get past 5 seconds in the book, say with a hug, our body then releases serotonin and dopamine and other chemicals that not only help us feel good and positive and loved, but also it helps us feel safe. And these are part of the reasons why when we're forming a relationship, this body connection with our partner early on helps establish that foundation that we carry with us throughout the relationship. So that's a beginning point. You can ask some more questions.
Well, one thing I noticed that a lot of women have, it hurts them when they're trying to talk to their partner and he's watching television, he's scrolling through his phone, he's doing something other than looking at her. And in your research, how important is eye contact and what does eye contact communicate?
Well, eye contact is really important. And and you even kind of alluded to it in your setup of the question, is that if I'm looking at you, I'm paying attention to you. If I'm looking at my phone, I'm not paying. And so that really makes a difference. And so getting your partner to uh, to be engaged with you with eye contact is really key. There's a story I tell in the book. It was from the New York Times, and they talk about couples, and they kind of go through this detail about a process. And one of the things is that after they'd get strangers who were uh, dating compatible, uh, and they would have them sit down, go through some questions. And again, you can put the 32 questions, eye contact, New York Times in Google, and it will bring up the questions and the detail about what I'm going to be sharing. Anyway, and they would go through these questions. And then at the end of the question, these two strangers would then sit and look at each other and stare at each other for 4 minutes. And so that was part of the experience. And one of the things that they found is that at the end of the 4 minutes, a lot of these people felt a connection, and they
Really?
not only had a relationship, a number of them eventually, not necessarily that afternoon, but in fact, the doctor who put this survey together, I did some more research because I love the story, but I also could hardly believe it. So I did a deeper dive, and even the doctor who came up with it, he met his wife through this 4-minute stare down, which again almost doesn't seem to make sense. But the reason I share that story is you said, how important is eye contact? Again, the body has certain ways of connecting. We have certain ways to connect with each other. And eye contact is so vital. And it really, in fact, I do some workshops on presentation skills, and I emphasize that you need to get people's eye contact, and I call it eye-brain control. Once you've got someone's eye contact and you're presenting, they will just stay right with you. And you're controlling not just their eyes, but their brain. They really are. And so the eye contact is very, very powerful. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's because I don't know. I mean, I'm guilty that I sometimes will multitask, and it's not like I'm not paying attention. I'm hearing every word that they're saying, and I can even repeat it back. But my eye, I mean, I might be looking at something else. I might be looking down, doing, I don't know, just doing something that's not looking at them. And people, will tend to get a little frustrated, even though I say, I heard every word you said, and I repeat back what they said. And they seem kind of surprised, like they feel like I'm disengaged. So that's kind of a personal experience share point there. But one thing
Right.
I do want to know that keeps coming up, Rob, and see if you had anything to add here. What about people that keep having the same argument over and over? The same thing. It's like it never gets really resolved. Is there anything, one person's feelings just stay hurt and the other person says, well, I've answered your question. I don't know why we keep having the same conversation over and over. Is there something that you in your book that might help them connect and move forward from that?
I think that I do revisit the same topic over and over again. And they can say that they want to not have that argument anymore, but apparently they do. And to both parties that they are choosing this. And so there's more to that. And particularly if complaints are involved, I really think complaints are really about the person complaining to some degree. And it's not that you
Oh,
can't out issues, but you've got to find some balance there. What I really want to highlight, and really what brings out in the book, which is different and really a different angle on this, is that in the back of the book, I've got 5 experiments, and this is the 5 experiments where not only what I kind of started with my own wife and kind of developing these things as I was trying to improve my own relationship. And these kind of were organic and kind of evolved. And then once they kind of got to a certain point and I kind of worked with friends and some other couples, I then did some national research using these same 5 experiments. And really, the 5 experiments are really just brief things that you do. One is like a 5-second hug. Another one is a 5-second kiss. Another is a massage that I can talk about how you do that in a moment. It could be a hand massage. It can be a foot massage. It can be a back massage. There are actually a couple of experiments that are non-touch because some people are touchy about being touched. And so there are some things that you can do with that are, again, that are wordless. But these things are really things that help you really communicate what's in your heart. And one of the things that is different than anything you can say or any compliment or complaint is that when you do it, the body will then, you feel something. And again, for example, when you hug someone, actually, our body is amazing. First of all, it has receptors all over it that when we engage someone in, say, a hug or a kiss, or we hold hands, and again, past 5 seconds, Once you do that, the body then releases these chemicals that make us feel good and tell us that we're loved.
Oh,
Plus, so no words, you don't need to exchange anything. And if you're hugging, you don't even need eye contact. Or you're kissing, you probably have your eyes closed. Or if you're holding hands, you could be walking down the street. But the point is, once you cross this threshold, this physical threshold of 5 seconds, the body gets involved. And so something else that's interesting about this is that when we start dating someone and we get a little bit more than friends and we're kind of being with them a lot, um, our body, when we release serotonin, one of the things that our body does, again, this is so amazing to me, it lays down a marker that reminds us that we have decided that this person is important to us, that this person is special, that we have made it, where we've made kind of a commitment and with them. And again, this is all about our physical experience with this person. Once that marker is laid down, every time in the future, when we hug this person, or we kiss them, or we hold their hand and we get past the 5 second threshold, this memory comes back to us that
oh.
we're, and again, we don't have to write anything down. We don't have to talk about it. And we just are subtly reminded of why we chose this person. And so, again, these are just small activities.
Mhm.
Mindful about it. We have to do it. We have to decide that we're going to do it. And I talk about in the book, and in fact, the 5 experiments, I invited people across the nation to give these 5 experiments to try. And I even told them in the beginning, for me, I didn't tell my wife I was doing anything. I just would go in and do it. It made me feel a little safer because I thought, oh, what if it goes bad or I do it wrong? You could see what kind of confidence I had in this. Oh, I'm gonna screw up the hug.
Well, it's something new.
So anyway, I didn't ask permission. I didn't say anything was going on. I just went in for the hug. Well, these couples across the country did the same thing, and they had a couple of really very powerful experiences. One is that once their partner realized they were serious, their partner lead more into the relationship. And this is one of the challenges about longer term relationships, is that we get used to things and we stop taking these few moments to care for each other. And we think, oh, I'll do it on the weekend, or I'll do it on their birthday, or Christmas is coming up, or we're going on this trip with some friends and I'll make sure I do something then. And you just are out of the habit. And so really, wordless connection is really trying to help people understand that with these 5 second intervals that you can take, 2, 3 times a day, where you give a hug, or you give a 5 second kiss, or you leave a note of care. And we can talk about these nonverbal or these non-touching experiences in a moment. When you do that, the person is reminded. And so you still may have great calamity going on, or you're moving, or you're having a baby, or you're getting a new job, or you just got fired, or whatever. You have all this stuff going on, or you got 4 kids, and that's a circus. And
Ooh.
so all this stuff going on, but you can still make sure you're connected to your partner. And so not only does your partner lean into this process, because they too, when they get hugged, they too get serotonin and dopamine. They get their body too responds, and they too have a marker that was laid down that they're reminded of in this moment. It's subtle, but still it is meaningful. But the other thing that is also interesting, and this came up, and I asked these people to keep journals and send them to me. And so I've got all this really great journal information. Anyway, one of the things that I got again and again, that they were surprised. They did this really to try and do something with and in a way for their partner. They wanted to renew this a bit. But one of the things that they were surprised about is that every time they did it, they themselves felt elevated. They felt uplifted by giving the hug, by giving the kiss, by holding the hand, by doing these 5 experiments. So again, I think everybody can kind of start as you think about this, if you were having that kind of response and the body was giving you this chemical boost in a pleasant way, and you were revisiting a thought about how you care for this person, you were then that it's like tending your garden. You make sure it's got the right amount of water just for that one day or for that one moment, or you're grooming your garden. Again, a garden can live without care. It will get overgrown, but it's still the garden. Same with our relationships. They can get overgrown, but if we care for them just a little bit with these 5-second experiences, uh, again, it's unmistakable between the couples what's going on. And again, both of them get it. And again, the book talks about, I've got a bunch of stories in there that are fantastic from these different couples who tried this around the country.
Well, I'd like to ask you, sometimes, people they build up resentments and they build up hurts and they start
They
holding
do.
things in and they hold back emotionally.
They do.
And so, they kind of get stuck in a rut and
They do.
they're not doing any of these things. Do you have any suggestions for someone who's in that state of mind where they're really, kind of withholding from each other? How did you take the step? What kind of mental jumps or tips do you have for them to move past
Actually,
that?
as much as it's going to sound simple, and it is simple, um, really, it is just leaning in and giving them a hug. And that may sound really dumb, or it can't be that different. Uh, One of the things, again, I got again any different people who were trying out these experiments, is that when they went in and gave let's say they gave their partner a hug, at first, often the partner would say something like, "Oh, what do you want?" Or "What are you doing? What's that? What's going on?" "Oh, I don't know." And sometimes, at least in the retelling, it was always done in pleasantly. But I could still think that there could be a partner out there thinking, "What's going on?" Or even the way you're saying it. But what happened, again, because I told them to do these things 3 times a day, I gave them a little prescription, to try out. So we're talking 15 seconds, 3 times, or a couple of times. You're leaving for work or you come back from work, 2, 3 times a day, give them a hug. Well, what happened, and again, this really was universal. Once the person had done this hug, say a couple of times a day for a couple of days, um, their partner picked up on it. And once they kind of realized that the person who initiated was serious and being vulnerable, they were seriously being vulnerable. They realized, and again, no conversation, no permission. They leaned in and they without even warning, they would go up and hug their partner. And
Oh,
again, for seconds or longer. I mean, again, they're mimicking the behavior. So the reason to try it is that your partner will start mimicking your behavior. A fun story about this. So again, I did this and I was in a situation, I'm a talker. I know that's a surprise. And so I had tried all sorts of things. And again, anybody in a long-term relationship knows there are peaks and valleys. And I do not know anybody who has been in a long-term relationship or been married who I think I've heard this from everyone that says marriage is a lot of work. And it is. And that's not a bad thing, but it's work. So I bring this up that I was in a place where I had tried a lot of things and I was trying to change the conversation and do something different. So I came up with this idea of my wife likes back massages, and I did some research and I talk about this in the book, and I kind of went through this process again, very straightforward. And I didn't know I was doing this, but I was pressing on her back and I was doing it very slowly, and I had my eyes closed and I was trying to send a loving thought through my heart, through my fingers. I was really trying to, make this thing happen without talking, because talking was not my friend at the moment. And so as I did that, she responded at the end of the at the end of the back rub. She goes, "That was great. In fact, I think that was
Oh,
one of the her." And I go, "Oh, that is so great because I was really thinking I was going to fail." So
oh,
so anyway, I did this a couple of times more over the next couple of weeks. Then something interesting happened, and again, this is this idea that we are just so subtly making ourselves vulnerable with our partner. You want to know how you can overcome that? You just have to lean in and try something. Try one of these 5-second hugs. Or again, in the book, you read the book. I got a bunch of examples, so the book can help you. But in this case, so again, I didn't tell my wife I was doing anything. I was just happy, oh, and so you know, oh, Mr. Backrop, I'm not doing anything, but really I'm doing it this very specific way that I eventually later found out that would cause this endorphin release, as well as, she was enjoying the experience. Plus, I'm her partner. I
right.
mean, there's layers here. So it isn't just the contact. So anyway, so, in fact, after about 3 weeks, I was thinking about maybe telling her about it, but I hadn't really thought about how I would do it. Anyway, she did something. And so one of the things so I came to bed one night and we normally read a bit before we go to bed. And anyway, but I noticed that she put a little uh, uh, box, a little metal box on my pillow, and it had held some staples. It was a metal box that she'd repurposed, and on the top of it said uh, "love and affection." Uh,
Oh,
so I lift the box again. It's a metal box again, holds staples, and in the box was a little note, and it was thanking me for the back rubs, which she had thanked me, but this was really special. And um, my wife has a hard time expressing some of these more vulnerable feelings. And I think that's why she chose to write them. And again, it was a very brief note. And I looked at her and we both smiled and then laughed. And it was really kind of a very nice moment. And I was really surprised again from the journals, the people talked about they hugged and then they found their partner would just spontaneously, without notice or discussion, start doing something, or they would initiate their own hug. You know,
so
Bingo.
somebody has to make the decision to put the hurt aside and
Yeah,
take action. One
that
of the partners.
it's a challenge. I mean, it's just like the person who wants to, you know, become an Olympian or something. They have to get up one day and say, you know, I'm going to start working on this, no matter how much this may seem impossible. They engage, and so that's what this is about. And so my wife wound up periodically leaving me these notes, and they're wonderful. I share a handful of them in the book, and they're really heartfelt. And so my wife has said some things to me, and again, they're all very simple. I mean, they're really simple, and none of them are about legislating anything, apologizing, sorry, or this or that. It is just like writing notes in elementary school. I love you. You're cute. I mean, it's just simple stuff. And I will tell you, for a long-term partner, these simple notes do it. At least does it for me. Now, at times my wife got very clever, write a little rhyme or something, and
Cute.
touching. And I did not fully understand this about myself until I got that first note. But I really like that. I mean, it,
A lot of women, Rob, won't. Just thinking about a lot of women. Some of the advice letters I get, a lot of women wouldn't trust it because they have a history with their partner. Whenever he does things that are nonverbal, like physical affection, he's doing it with a reason.
right.
He's doing it to lead up to something else. So
Right.
the
And
women distrust it because they don't feel like they can just enjoy that 5 seconds because
what,
there'll be
yeah,
demands for
but
more.
what I tell him, what I told him in the instructions for the experiment, I say this in the book, you can be very clear about what you're doing. I mean, and because a lot of, some of the journals even explained, where the husband would say, "So am I getting lucky tonight?"
See,
And not getting lucky tonight, but I would like to hold your hand. And so again, just be honest and direct. We are doing this thing. We're not doing that thing. But you know, I I'm very interested in doing this thing. And again, we're building a relationship, and believe me, I recognize that relationship issues are very challenging. This is not my first day of being married, so I recognize that, and my heart goes out to all these people who've had challenges. I'm just saying that this kind of care allows you to work on some of these other areas, and maybe even areas of dysfunction, but it gives you some breathing room. It gets your head above water.
right.
It's needed, and so that you have something special, and it's not like 2 years away, when this therapy thing, whatever you're doing, is over. No, you can have it right now, and you can control it. And so I don't know, is that helpful?
Yeah, no, that definitely, I think, I was asking it, I'm asking for a friend,
Yeah, of course. I
asking
hope
for
your
a
friend.
friend.
uh,
But yeah, that's a common complaint from women that, they would love to just enjoy these things that you're saying, the
well,
massage and some just and be able to enjoy that kind of touch from their partner
one real
without feeling like,
right.
it's a prelude and it's a trap for
Yeah, no,
something
and
else.
I just think, and again, it doesn't have to be confrontational or anything. You say, no, that's not what we're doing here. We're doing this. And you can even say, maybe if we do this, well, maybe that may come next week or
Right.
whatever. But I think setting boundaries is also valuable. And again, that's part of being in a relationship. Something that I want to highlight that I think would be very valuable to help people appreciate the value and the abundance that we have within ourselves is that, first of all, humans like living in groups, and we've been doing it for about 350,000 years. And so about 350,000 years ago, we started living in groups and having families and having babies and doing all this stuff and across the plains, in wherever. I mean, so we've been living this way for a long time. Now, the thing that is interesting is that even though we lived in groups, we did not really develop the ability to speak till about 50,000 years ago. And I've done enough research. There are different uh, time periods, but none of them go back that far. So we lived as communities, and we didn't know we didn't have a voice. We just lived our lives. And so we lived for eons of time without speaking. And so our body developed, and this is part of the reason why our body developed this ability to release serotonin and to have these receptors and so forth, so that we can be able to communicate without speaking. So we carry with us from birth this whole library of ability to connect. And again, it's really with any relationship. I'm talking about, with our partner in this, but I also tell stories about families and children and experience I had with somebody at work. Again, just straightforward. But again, it was a wordless connection that dealt with work, which I'm not going to. We don't have time to go into it. But again, nothing weird about it. I'm just highlighting that we really are amazing with our bodies. We carry this treasure of abundance with us everywhere we go. And you can go anywhere, any culture, and you don't have to speak their language, and everybody knows what a smile is. Everybody knows what a hug is. Everybody knows what a kiss is. Everybody knows about holding hands. I mean, again, we've got a whole repertoire of these nonverbal connectors where we mean business. And so, again, words are not always our friends. And again, I learned this in my own relationship. I needed to somehow stop talking. And I thought, well, if I stop talking, then what do I do? And that was really the genesis of this book. But I invite everyone to get the book, to experiment with these experiments. And it's simple. And you read these stories of these people, it's delightful. and actually, one thing's coming up for me. Maybe I don't know if we're running out of time, but one thing that this woman, she's doing this. Uh, Again, she's been married for a while, and she's trying this experiment out. And so, after dinner, her and her husband are cleaning the kitchen and stuff. And so she's being married, kind of in her mind, being a little methodical about this, trying to do her homework and try and experience this. So she thinks, okay, at this in just a minute, I'll hug, my partner. And so they get to that point. So she's really, I mean, she's meaningful and she's intentional, but again, she's trying to figure this stuff out. It's her
Oh,
first minute. And so she leans in for the hug, and after 5 seconds, her husband begins to cry. And what happened is that he has been worried about some financial stuff and his business, and he didn't really know how to bring it up, and he's been carrying this weight, and her hugging him gave him a moment that he didn't expect, and he wept. Now, I've seen that with anybody, but man, when I was reading that story, I go, man, I wasn't expecting that, and neither was she. She said she was not expecting that.
oh
And
boy.
And so we've got these little treasures waiting for us. And again, it can be a 5 second hug, it can be a 5 second kiss, it can be the massage. I talk about leaving these little notes of care like my wife did, or I talk about doing something spontaneous. It's spontaneous to them. You plan it out, you can think about it, but you're surprising them in small ways, that you're trying to help them or you're thinking of them. And I kind of explain why the spontaneity is important. If you go ask permission, people always say, I'm fine, I don't want any of that. Well, actually, I have found in my own experience living my life, anytime someone's having a problem and they say they're fine, they're not fine. They need someone to be their friend. They need someone to give them a kindness. They're feeling like they're alone. And if someone asks permission to come in, they're going to say no. So don't ask permission. And again, I'm not looking to invade anyone's life, but I talk about in the book when I can tell someone's having a challenge. One of the things I would love to get is a box of chocolates. I love chocolates. And so, and I tell them, they're not expecting it. I just show up on their door. I show up and I've got a box of chocolates, and I even tell them, look, I was thinking of you. And sometimes I even lead off. I just say, even if I think they're having a challenge, I say, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being my friend, or thank you for helping me. And I was thinking about you, wanted to bring you these chocolates, and I didn't know what to bring, so I brought you what I want people to bring me, box of chocolates. And you know what? No one has turned it back on me. Now, everyone has been thrilled that I do this. And so, again, it's a small act. It's spontaneous. I didn't have to get permission. No one was mad that I came and said something nice to me. So,
What kind of
yeah,
a lot of the people here though on this channel are single. I mean,
sure.
some are married. I'd say probably maybe 25% are married and the rest are single, even if they are, dating someone seriously. But if someone is not really partnered yet, or they just met someone that they would love to be in a partnership with, what can they do to try to develop some of this closeness and intimacy?
Well, I tell you, I will tell you, the body stands ready to give you dopamine after 5 seconds. So you just hug them, or you can kiss them, or you can hold their hand. Or I love this thing. Although this came out afterwards, and I haven't experimented it with anybody, but I love this idea from the New York Times that gives you 32 questions where you can, and they're real interesting questions. Actually, I've done the questions and the staring with my wife. And it's a fun activity. We did it. We went out to dinner and we did it in a restaurant. It was very, very fun. So again, you can do that. And again, that's a
At
lark.
4 minute stare down, is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about? Oh,
yeah.
that sounds, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. It
Well,
just
then
sounds tough.
again, I call these experiments, I give you 5 experiments, and I call them experiments so that you can see what works for you. And maybe you want to try something else. And but sometimes you'll be surprised at who will participate.
Interesting.
I don't know for are we this is a time check. How are we, I've got a
Oh, well,
story to
yeah,
share.
we're gonna wind up pretty soon, but I just wanted to really hear what you had to say about this topic. Then
Yeah.
I'll let you tell people where to find your book and find you.
Oh, well, thank you. Actually, I've got a website. It's wordlessconnection.com. And I've got the book, Wordless Connection. You can get it at Amazon. And I encourage you, buy the book, try the experiments. We live in a world that has got so many communication devices and so many opportunities to connect. And I think we've never felt more alone, not just lonely, but alone. And so these experiments will give you something so simple. And as you read the book, you'll see all the very simple experiences that these people had to connect with each other. And again, the body is set. We carry around this abundance within us, and we're all set to go. So give it a try, give it an experiment, try it. I dare you. So see how that works for you.
Well, thank you, Rob. This was really interesting. Some things that I just would never have thought to do. But I mean, it sounds plausible, and I do enjoy a good hug. So we'll see how I'm gonna have to do some of these experiments. I'm not doing that 4-minute stare down though.
Now, try it. I get the book. Get the say one thing that I will encourage you. This really works if you do it more than once with someone. I mean,
Okay.
so you do. So one started out with my wife. I would do it every time I left the house or when she left. We would go find each other and give each other a hug, and we still do that. We've been doing this for years now, and
How long have you
through
been married? Just to be nosy.
oh man, I longer than I want to say. So and so my thought is that we do this and through thick or thin, and believe me, sometimes I will go hug her and I may not be happy with her. Okay. But I do this because it helps, it matters. And then I'm now at a point where I've committed to myself, this is the decision I made, that every time and I often work at home, if I'm working and my wife comes across my mind, I stand up, I go find her and I give her a hug. And then something else that we did right from the beginning, which I do not know. Again, none of this has been discussed. We've never really discussed this. But after we do the hug, we give each other a 5-second kiss. Again, I
Ooh.
mean, that's not, I mean, no discussion. We just did that and that's what we do. And we still do it. And if we can do this at the grocery store, I mean, we've done it everywhere. And so it becomes more of just how we are nourishing our relationship. And so that's my invitation. This is tiny. Again, make a 15-second commitment to yourself and do this with someone 3 times a day. I mean, come on. It's not like joining a gym. You
Yeah.
don't have to say
15
do.
seconds. That's really not a lot.
No, it's not. And so, again, try this out. You're going to have a wonderful time. And you have to keep in mind, the body developed this so that each of us wants, I mean, as you think about evolution, our bodies want our progeny, want our children to have children and so forth. So it developed all these things to keep the family going, to keep our connection to our partner. And so we don't even have to speak. We can do this and our body is going to step in and help that connection happen. And we only need 5 seconds so we can go off and fight the dragon. You know, we don't
Thank
have,
you so much, Rob, for coming
oh,
on.
thank you. Thank you.
And Rich, tell your website one more time.
It's wordlessconnection.com. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so
You're the
much.
best.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Well, that was interesting. You guys, I hope you learned something. I did. I just would have never thought to do that. Because you know how it is when you get upset, you're mad, you don't want to look at them, let alone touch them. But, I could see the value in what he's saying. It's like, that standoff that you have, or you don't want to look at them, you don't want to talk to them, you're definitely not touching them. So one of you is going to have to step outside of that and go to the next step and, try to break the ice on that to make the relationship move forward in a healthy way. So, yeah, that was really good. I'm glad he came. So let's see what we got. This is our agenda for the rest of the day. That was the gentleman that we just had on, was Rob Thomas, author of Wordless Connection. And you can find his website at wordlessconnection.com. So then we're going to do some more Q&A, and then we're going to have Kari Camacho on with her title. The reason when she wrote me and I saw her title, I knew she had to come on because that title alone got my interest. So we'll be doing that a little bit later. Okay. So let's get started. Let's go on and do some more discussion here. Hold on, let me clean up my mess over here. See what I want to talk about. I had so many interesting articles. This one, why do you guys think that men lie to women? Why do men lie to women? I mean, we all have our thoughts on it. You guys have some thoughts. You can surely put them in the chat. I would be interested in hearing what you have to say. Hey, Mika. This article is called The Top 10 Reasons That Men Lie to Women. Wait, this writing is small. Where are my reading glasses? I need to know. Here they are. And they're all fingerprinted and dirty. Well, Deborah, this is not good. The top 10 reasons that men lie to women. My reading glasses on so I can see something. All right. No matter what you preach, sometimes you just gotta lie. That's the first sentence of the article. For better or worse, it's a fundamental part of our lives. It may not be moral, but it still remains. There are many, many different cases in life where telling your woman the truth will only get you into trouble. But if you could somehow manage to say something that doesn't hurt her, you're in the clear. Hey, it's better than revealing what you really did last night. As the more, quote, rational sex, or so we tell ourselves, men can usually see the bigger picture. And white lies serve to leapfrog over all the yelling, petty explanations, and frustration. Lying helps to avoid the emotional blow-up over a small incident that we know is really insignificant. Now, see, that's when one point of contention there, because it's insignificant to you does not mean that it's insignificant to her. So to further prove my point, here are 10 reasons why sometimes lying is the best way to go, he says. So this guy is advocating that men lie. Okay, number 10, you think of the alternative. If you tell your girlfriend that you got toasted with the guys last night instead of preparing for the nice weekend in Vermont, she will flip out. Oftentimes, girlfriends are simply too sensitive to accept the fact that you held your own and did something your own way. You'd be wise to realize that you save yourself and your woman a lot of time and pain by blurting out a little lie instead. Like she's not going to smell the alcohol on you. Okay. Reason number 9. These are reasons why this guy says why lying is sometimes the best way to go if you're a dude. Throw in a few lies about how much that tennis bracelet really costs, and it's a lot simpler than saying that you had to take out a loan to please her. Why put yourself through a lot of discussion when you can simply end it by saying what she wants to hear? Both parties are happy and no one gets hurt. Well, in a situation like that, I don't know if I would lie. If I were a guy and I gave a girl my girl a tennis bracelet, and she asked me anything about how much it costs, I would take it back, because how much it costs is not the point. You don't need to ask me how much it costs. All you need to know is that you got a tennis bracelet, right? What fool would go and ask a man who gave her a present, how much did it cost? Who does that? Oh my God, I just can't even imagine. I would snatch it back because you know you're too stupid to have it. Okay, question number 8. Usually, a great part of being, quote, the man in a relationship is having control. Often, even if they don't directly admit it, some women like being submissive and letting you take command. If this is the case, who can blame you for twisting a story your way in order to assert power? That's right. You did think of setting up that romantic dinner all by yourself. Yeah, you're not going to say, "Well, I asked my mother and I asked my sister and I asked these ladies at work what I should do." Because I don't know. I don't know if I would tell the lie like that, like I did it all by myself, because she gonna know you lying. You know, just say I got the idea, I got the inspiration from an article I saw or something I saw online or something like that. That doesn't mean that you copied it 100%, but it says that you know, you were inspired by it and then you made it your own. It's kind of a half lie. Self-preservation, yep. Yeah, I think that's the main reason. They're afraid that these glasses, I don't know about these glasses. They are afraid that they're gonna get roasted. She's gonna be really mad. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. Talk about that in a minute. Okay, so then reason number 7, we're talking about top 10 reasons men lie to women, and the author of this article is a guy, and he's giving men some reasons why lying is sometimes the best way to go. So he's not saying don't lie. He's saying sometimes you just gotta lie. That's just the way it is. Okay. That's his statement, not mine. Okay, so here's reason number 7. When you arrive late to an important dinner at a nice restaurant, are you really gonna tell her that the game went into overtime? It's more amusing and also life-saving to say you pulled over to help an elderly woman with a flat tire, or more realistically, a policeman flagged you down for a busted tail light. Yeah, but then what you gonna do? Get up and bust your tail light when she go outside to check? Again, by saying that you are in a situation beyond your control or in which someone was in need of your assistance, the blame magically spins away from you and you get showered with happiness that you made it. He must have been used to dating some dumb women. Okay. Because you know your man. You know if he's the type that would stop and help somebody. Or if he would if he had a busted tail light. Don't let me go outside and see there's no busted tail light. You better bust it before you come in that restaurant. Number 6. Oh, I printed two-sided. I usually don't do that. In a relationship that has recently become serious, the last thing that you want to do is let her down and destroy all that trust that has taken you months to build. In lying about why you missed her important family gathering, you will still maintain your integrity. That is not to say that this is like baseball. However, in this situation, it's 2 strikes and you're out. You have got one get out of jail card and that's it. If you're scared of her, just admit it. Okay, that was probably a wise thing to do. Question number 5. Sure, you could stay up all night arguing about what you really meant when you said she was looking thick today. This guy is death wish. But you could end it right now if you bust out some truth twisting. When you're in a sticky situation, escaping with something made up will leave you untainted. This is not limited to romantic relationships, but can also be useful with any over-observant coworker, mother-in-law, or even parole officer. Some truth twisting. Okay. I know they used to have that commercial where they showed the guy with the Snickers bar, right? And the girl would say, "Oh, do I look fat in this?" And he would shove that Snickers bar in his mouth and be like, "Oh, mama," rather than answer that question, because that is a no win. There's no way out of that. There's no way out of that. Question number 4. Admit it, somehow, somewhere, you took a wrong turn and you got whipped. Unlike the empowered guy, you dug yourself a hole, and although she keeps saying that she'd rather hear the truth than a story, you know she'll go nuts on this one. Out of sheer fright, you must lie to save the relationship. It's not an option, but a duty. You like this woman a lot, then one little white lie won't hurt. Yeah, but boy, if she catches you, that could be problematic, my brother. Question number 3. The main reason for being dishonest is not for kicks, but to save your woman a world of heartache. You would never do it in an extreme situation, I hope. When asked Am I fat? Or does this orange lipstick go with my purple dress? It's actually a trap waiting for you to get tied up in. Of course, she wants you to be truthful, but she'll be hurt if you say that you're really feeling. In this case, a short complimentary answer is in order. In doing this, you'll be boosting her self-confidence and avoiding a full day of the silent treatment. Now, that is true, but it's not really called a lie. Where's my water? Oh, here it is. Hold on a second. My mother used to call that being tactful. Ooh. My mom worked with me on tact for a decade, and I still don't really do it that well. But like at 4 and 5 years old, I just would blurt out stuff, and I'm still kind of like that. Like one of my aunts came in, and I told her that she was stinky and she needed to go take a bath, or she had on a dress and it was too tight. I said, that dress is too small. You need a bigger size, and stuff like that. I would just say stuff like that to people all the time. And so when I got a little older and started, like middle school age, I started getting invited to little parties and, over to people's houses for, sleepovers and stuff and all this kind of stuff. I would be outside of her control. So she was trying to teach me to be tactful. That, like I said, it didn't really stick. But like she gave this is an example. Like, okay, she says, like, say you have a friend and she comes on and she exactly Kimberly. Yeah. I mean, it's like my mom said, hey, you have a friend and she has the dress and it's a new dress and she's really excited about the dress. She really thinks she looks really hot in the dress, but you can see that dress is just not cut for her body and she look a hot mess. Okay. My mom didn't use hot mess, but that's my language. And she looked a hot mess. Now the girl comes to you and she made the fatal mistake of saying, how do you like, is this, does this look good on me? You hear that Jeopardy music playing. And this is when Deb would either get your mouth would open up and get you in trouble, or I would say something that my mother called tactful. So my mom taught me to say, well, okay, she looks a mess in the dress. The dress is too tight, it's too short, it's showing all her fat rolls, and she got, it's just not fitting, it's not working. So instead of saying all of those things, you look at what you can comment on that won't be hurtful. So like in a situation like that, I might say, instead of just this dress look good in there, you look like you're a sausage in a casing. That thing is way too tight. Go and get 2 sizes bigger. So such you something that fits, and stop trying to act like you still wear a size 10 when your ass is a 14. But you're not going to say all of that. What you do is you say, that color really brings out your eyes. Or that color, and those shoes, girl, that color dress and that shoes, that's working. Or, them earrings, don't you have some earrings, just something like that color? Put those on. That probably really look popping. You do stuff like that. So you circumvent the direct hit that your ego would have to take, and you redirect. And you talk about something that's positive and that's good. And so you avoid the direct answer to her question. I mean, you don't say, no, it doesn't look good because you're too fat. You just tell her about the color. Or you say, something about the style, or, oh, is that a so-and-so designer dress? Oh yeah, they clothes be on it. But you don't say that one is on it, but their clothes. You get my point? You see how I'm like circumventing giving her a direct answer? Like a yes or no? I'm talking about other stuff. So my mother taught me that, to do that, but it's just really hard for me. And like when people ask me those questions, I have to catch myself. And that's why I say the Jeopardy music be playing. Because I want to tell them, no, that don't look good at all. But I hear the Jeopardy music. And so then I stop and I think, and I'm looking at it, I hear my mother's voice in my head. Like, don't you dare. I'll beat your head. So then I say whatever the other thing is. And so that's how I got out of it. So I think that's kind of what he's talking about. But I don't want to lie about it. I just don't answer that question. I say something else. That's how I do. But we're kind of on the same page. All right. So here's question number two reason why you should lie. When an important commitment comes up that you just cannot bring yourself to attend, like one of her many friends' housewarming parties, you can make like Houdini and disappear behind a tiny lie. When an important Sunday church service lands on the same day as the NFL playoffs, you know what to do. You grin and bear it next week, but say you need to stay in bed this time due to a stomachache. She'll be glad you still want to go and will surely make an exception this time. And then number one, just like reverse psychology, lying is a tool that men want, nay, need in their arsenal when facing a mood-changing, confusing woman, whether on a first date or while enduring your 1 year anniversary. One could delicately talk himself up. Picking up girls at clubs or bars requires a bit of this lying ability, aside from being debonair and having a bank of good lines. And then he finishes up by saying, choose your lies carefully. While lying is important in the facet of a man's game, it should always be done for good. Properly used, no one will end up hurt and you can move on. This is the key. White lies should be in your reserves, but nothing more. It is in our nature to use these devices to please, and if she is none the wiser, why stop? Just remember, once you're caught lying, you may end up on the whipped side of the spectrum or worse, alone. So he put that, he done gave y'all that warning. So, ladies, and then here's some things for the women. You know, remember that the guys don't want to hurt your feelings. So if you showing yourself to be a woman who gets upset and dramatic when he tells you the truth, you're essentially training him to say what you want to hear to keep the peace. And I used to say it to women all the time. Don't ask for a man to be honest with you. And then as soon as he tells you what's the honest, you can't handle it. You want to run and cry and act a fool. Don't work like that. You ask for the truth, you got to put your big girl drawers on and be able to handle it. Okay. Number two, they know women don't actually want to hear the truth. That's very true. Like you ask wanting a very specific answer and are afraid of telling the actual truth. Not enough trust in the relationship. So they fear that you will freak out. Are there situations where they're being forced to lie? Like don't ask a man, do I look fat in this dress? Oh, he's talking about what I was just talking about. Remember the candy bar commercial where they shove it in their mouth to keep from answering the question? Similar when asked what they were thinking about, what you know that you don't want to hear the answer. Exactly. That commercial was just the epitome of men escaping the direct answer. Yeah, if you can't tell the truth, you're going to freak out. Don't be asking me a question like, do I look prettier than her? You know, is my body better than hers? Is my nook better than hers? You know, anything like that where you compare yourself to another woman or you're inviting him to compare you to another woman, you're dumb. What would you do that for? I mean, the goofy guys that's going to tell you the truth. Like, yeah, she's pretty hot. The goofy ones. And then the ones who know the game are going to lie to you. Like they might know the girl's way hotter than you. But that's not the point. The point is he loves you and he's with you though. So, I mean, why would you even ask him something like that? You know, the street smartest dudes, they're going to be like, don't be asking me no dumb shit like that. They'll just straight tell you. But, you know, most guys are just going to be like, oh my God, what can I tell to get out of this? So ladies, stop asking me and stuff like that. They don't want drama. Like I was saying, if you're not telling the truth, it's harmless enough and just being honest will cause drama, heartache, and grief for both parties. Why would you do it? I'm not advocating the behavior and I hold honesty as a high virtue myself. But part of looking at this requires us to be honest about human nature. Humans, men and women, want to make life easier for ourselves, not harder. And that's not the case if there's no perceived upside. Like if you want the truth and honesty, find a way to reward that behavior. Don't punish it by putting him through hell. Right. You ask him to tell you something, and then he tells you, be a woman about it. Be grown. Thank him for telling you the truth. Thank you for not lying to me. Thank you for letting me, be able to make choices based on the reality, the way that things are. I appreciate that. It shows maturity and respect. But you ask a guy a direct question and he lies to you. Even though he's giving reasons why men do it, I'm not about that life. Don't do that. If I ask you a direct question, you better give me a direct answer. And I'm not talking about something stupid like, do I look fat in this dress? I'm talking about like, where were you last night when you said you was going to be here at 7 and I didn't see or hear from you all night? Don't give me no BS answer because you're already hanging on by your fingernails, that kind of stuff. Or they want to impress you and they don't feel like they're good enough without lying or putting up a front. And so he says, from one angle, you could almost look at this as a compliment. The guy's trying to impress you because he doesn't feel good enough to get you on his own. That's not a compliment. Oh, he says it's not a compliment. It's an insecure behavior, but it also doesn't allow a real foundation to be built for a relationship. For a guy to be honest with you, he has to be secure enough in himself to know that you'll still want him if he's real with you. And our next guest is going to be talking about that authenticity, like why people don't want to be authentic. So yeah, men lie because they're scared. Bottom line, somebody put that, their fear of getting in trouble. Men are afraid of women. They're afraid of your emotions. Your emotions, especially your tears and your upset, are frightening to them. I don't know what to do with all that. Ooh, I got these reading glasses, but oh my God, these things, I just don't like them very much. Okay, so that was interesting. Why we just covered 10 reasons why men lie to women, and then some reasons why women basically ask to get lied to. How that goes down. Let's do a couple of more advice questions. Yes, Deb as a tot was kind of a terrorist, from what I hear. People were afraid of me and my mouth, pretty much just like they are now. So let's move on. So I got my shirt on, my Deborah with the name of the show and stuff on. I ordered some of these t-shirts. I was going to give them away, but I still have some to give away. It's a contest or something. All right, question number 8. This female, 35 to 48 from the U.S. The male's 35 to 41, male's 35 to 41. Summary of issue. Oh, wait, this is the one I did already. Okay, we're on question number 9. This lady's 42 to 49 from Fullerton. I guess that's in California. The male's 22 to 27. 42 to 49 and 22 to 27. Okay, advice on co-parenting. Dear Deb, I need advice on how to handle this situation, please. I had a one-night stand with a guy I barely knew, and I got pregnant. Okay, so you was messing around with somebody 22 to 27. So basically, somebody about 20 years younger than you, 15 to 20 years younger. Oh, all right. And of course, he went completely ghost. I decided to keep the baby and raise it alone without his help. 4 years later, I reached out to his parents. I managed to get in contact with his parents, and they told me they are forcing him to step up and be a father. The issue is that his mom told me that he is engaged to another woman, and she asked me if it was okay for her to come along during the visits when he sees the child. I don't care that he is engaged because I think he is trash for leaving me while I'm pregnant. But the issue is that the mom told me the fiance comes from a dysfunctional family, and this worries me because usually women who grew up in dysfunctional households are very loud and jealous women. Also, it's been 2 whole months and he has not attempted any contact with the child. Right now, his whole world is his fiance and not the child. His parents have made more effort to meet their grandchild than him, and they came yesterday for a 2-hour drive to visit the kid, and they brought him presents. They tell me that her dad wants a relationship with his child and that he has paid for some of the presents the grandparents gave to my child, but I don't know how to feel about this because it seems like he's always too busy to even call or even talk to the kid on the phone and being too busy to see her. Also, I want to avoid drama with the fiance at all costs. My child is 4 years old now, and these people are strangers to me, and I don't feel comfortable letting them take my child without me, so I can only let them see the child when I'm around. How should I handle the situation? Okay. Where do I start going off on you? Let's see. Start at the beginning. You was messing around with somebody that you had a one-night stand with. And then you got pregnant. Now you in California. Why did you not get a termination? Why would you have a baby by somebody that you don't even know nothing about and who's 15 to 20 years younger than you? Why would you do that? Okay, so of course he ghosted you because he wasn't there for all that. He was there for a good time, not a long time. Okay, and you knew that. So you decided you're going to keep the baby and you're going to raise it without his help. You said that. I'm quoting right here. But then 4 years later, you get a bee in your bonnet and you decide to tell on him and you call his parents and tell his mommy and daddy about what he did. That's what you did. Okay, so then they want to try to force a grown man to step up and be a father. They don't have the power to do that. You don't have the power to do that. You should have shut that down from the beginning. What did you even reach out to them for? Because you was expecting something. You don't want to admit it, but the only reason women do stuff like that is they wanted something. They were expecting something. They were hoping for a different result. But you got egg thrown in your face because you found that he's engaged to somebody else. That means he loves somebody else. He want to be married to somebody else. It's not you. He don't care about you or that baby, that raggedy baby that he didn't want. Because he barely knew you when y'all was sitting up there making this baby. Okay. So you say that he was trash for leaving you while you was pregnant. No, he wasn't. Because you 20 years older than him. You don't know how to use birth control? So, I mean, I could see it if you was 20 years younger than him or you was like in your teens or something. But you a grown-ass woman on the downstroke to 50. Okay? That's going to be your next big birthday in your age group. 50 years old. And you don't know how to use birth control by now. And how to protect yourself from getting, pregnant. You don't know how to do that. As you can see, I am not on your team on this one. Okay, so you think he's supposed to stay with you because you was pregnant on an accidental one-night stand. Where they do that at? Okay, then his mom tells you that the fiance comes from a dysfunctional family and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So the mom is gossiping and you just eating it up like a Hoover vacuum. Okay, so now it's 2 months later and he don't have any contact with the kid. That's what I told you. The parents can't make him do nothing. He's a grown-ass man. His whole world is his fiance and not his child, which it was going to be because he didn't know you. He didn't have no tie to you like that. As quiet as it's kept, men usually feel about the kids the way they feel about the mother. Not always. I mean, there are exceptions, but 99% of the time, they feel about the kids the way they feel about the kid's mama. If he can't stand you, he's not going to be able to stand nothing that came from you either. Okay? That's traditionally how it goes. Like I said, there are exceptions, but in general, that's how it goes. Okay, so then his parents came. They drove 2 hours to see the grandchild, and they brought the grandkids some presents. Okay, that's nice. And then the baby daddy wanted a relationship, and that he paid for some of the presents. They lying. He didn't pay for nothing. They did that. They did do like we used to do. Well, let me put my name on that. Let me put my name on that gift. And we didn't contribute nothing to it. We didn't buy nothing. Okay, so then you say, these people want to take the kid away and stuff. And you're not going to do that either. If they want to do that, you say, let's go to court and establish, custody, child support, and visitation, formal visitation. The reason why you want to do that is because you want the court to do a home assessment. That's part of it especially in a situation like this, when there's going to be, the child would be visiting to places overnight. They send out a court-appointed social worker. They go through the house and they look around and they ask questions and they interview people. Then they make that determination. That's what they used to do. I don't know if they still do that post-COVID. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not in family law anymore, but that's how they used to do it. And they would go out, had a whole team of social workers that would go and they would do that, just quick little visit. I mean, nothing, 20 minutes. They're not going to be there all day. But they just want to see, you got a room set up for the kid. Is it safe? Is it some ratchet hole in the wall? You got buckets on the floor to catch the rain. I mean, they want to see where the kid's going to be before they make any decisions about who has custody. And then they do visitation. Is this person that you're going to be bringing the kid into a house where there's someone living who's on the convicted felons list? Is it a person a child predator? Is a person a sex offender? What kind of people is going to be around this kid? They want to know that kind of stuff too before they decide who has custody. So these are the kind of things that you would want to have established, and you would want, if they're going to take the kid, for their addresses and stuff to be on record with the court, right? So that's how you handle your business if you're going to involve them. But see, you started off this whole story by saying that you wanted to raise a kid alone without their involvement. So I'm really curious of what made you switch up after 4 years. What made you get that bee in your bonnet that you reached out to his parents to tell on her. You left that part out. That's been very key component to this story. But bottom line, if you want them to be involved, you go to court and handle your business like a grown woman, the way you should have been handling stuff from the get-go. Okay, protect the kid as much as you can with court orders and protect yourself. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Lord have mercy. Question number 10. This is a young man, 18 to 21, from Memphis. Summary of issue. I talked to some girls yesterday, and my little brother is jealous despite having a girlfriend of his own. Can you tell me why? For context, our parents asked if I could take him to a sporting event since schedules were going to clash, and I agreed. I'm 19 and little bro is 15. He had about 2 hours of free time before he needed to compete, so I told him I was planning to go to a nearby park to skateboard and asked if he wanted to come. He said yes, so I had to pack up all his stuff and we left. After about 30 minutes of skateboarding, I took a break and sat by him on a bench. A few minutes later, a group of girls walked by and one of them stopped to compliment my hat and asked where I got it. I complimented her in return and told her where I got it. After this initial interaction, it turned into a bit of a group conversation, and after a bit more talking, they invited us to sit with them at some nearby picnic tables since there wouldn't be enough space for everyone on the bench. I asked my brother if he wanted to join, but he declined and said he wanted to be alone. I'm pretty straightforward, so I immediately apologized if I'm awkward at all and mentioned that I'm trying to start being more social, and they're pretty understanding and very nice about it. The conversation went well, and we talked for a while about different things, even figured out that we all went to the same school. At one point, my brother came over and said he wanted to leave, even though I knew we still had extra time before we needed to go, but I didn't question it right then. I just got ready to go. Before I left, though, one of the girls asked for my number so she could add me to their group chat, and we exchanged numbers, and I said goodbye. On the drive to the event, he started making comments that made it clear he was jealous. He told me those girls probably thought I was gay. Wow. And that no, quote, normal guy would have a group of girls talk to them like that. He also made comments about my clothes and my appearance, saying that I dressed gay and that I wasn't even the attractive one between the two of us, and that it didn't make sense that I got attention, especially because I'm fat. It honestly hurt me, and it felt really out of character for him. We've made fun of each other and taken jabs at each other and whatnot, but this was just different, just completely mean. When I asked why he cared so much about what other women did when he has his own girlfriend, he got defensive about it. Why would this bother him so much? I just don't understand it. Well, until I got down to the part where you're fat and he was jealous, I was thinking that, you're his big brother and you took him out to spend time with him, right? But in the middle of that, you got up and just abandoned him. You left him to chase after some girls that you never saw before and that you could see at school. And she found they go to the same school. Your little brother that you was there, he was sitting over there by himself on a bench, and you didn't seem to understand what that might be a problem. And you don't understand why he had a bad attitude. I mean, the stuff he said was typical 15-year-old, spiteful nonsense. I mean, they're not the most sharpest pencil in the box of the, brightest bulb in the lamp and all this kind of stuff that people say. 15-year-old kids are kind of dumb. That's the bottom line. So he's saying some stuff. He's, spouting off at the mouth because his little feelings are hurt. But the thing that I think started this whole tumble is that you abandoned him to chase, go over there with them girls. And you invited him to go with you, but you're 19. And if any school that you go to, he doesn't go to that school. So what is he going to have in common with some girls who are 18, 19, 20 years old? And he's only 15. Well, I mean, you should have thought about this, brother. You should have thought about this. I mean, if you talked to them for a few minutes, by the time they invited you to go over to the bench, you were supposed to say, no, I'm sorry. I'm here with my little brother. We got some things to do, but it was nice to meet you. Here's my number or whatever. And then deuced out and talk to them later on your own time. You don't leave him hanging like that. That was very mean. So y'all was mean to each other. You were just insensitive and goofy. And then his feelings were hurt really bad. And he didn't know how to say that my feelings are hurt. So he striked out and attacked you. But that's what all his words represent is his feelings were hurt. So, you need to talk to him and y'all need to iron this out. and make sure you let him know that you will never do that to him again. If you guys are out together, you're gonna be together, and everybody else is gonna be have to wait. That's what he wants you to. That's what he wants to hear. Okay. Oh, I'd be pissed too if my brother took me somewhere and did some mess like that. You just don't do that. All right, let's find the next question here. What time is it? I want to make sure I don't mess up my time and miss Kari. All right. Question number 11. This is a male, 35 to 42 out of the UK. Summary of issue. Was I wrong for secretly buying extra food for my niece because her older brothers eat everything? My brother's family's been staying with me and my wife for about 6 months while they save money after moving from another state. It's been pretty okay and we get along pretty well. They have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. The boys are both athletes in track and basketball and they eat a ton. Oh, yes, I remember when my brothers were in sports, we couldn't keep any food in the house. They're teenagers and constantly hungry. Whenever food is made, they usually go back for multiple servings and they demolish snacks quickly. Something I started noticing though, was that their daughter is the youngest at 13, would regularly complain there was barely anything left for her by the time she got to it. I've also noticed that my brother and his wife used to give the boys noticeably bigger portions during meals. I figured it was just maybe because the boys are bigger or more active, but I eventually asked my brother about it because he seemed kind of excessive. He said the boys need the calories because they're athletes and still growing, while his daughter doesn't really do sports or sits around most of the day. He also said that he doesn't want her to be gaining weight, as she isn't physically active outside of school activities. I found what my brother said to be very strange, maybe even emotionally damaging to their daughter with the way that they handle food. Yeah, they trying to control her weight with like that and make that girl have an eating disorder. So after that happened, I started buying some extra snacks and drinks and keeping them in the main part of the house. Their family mostly stays in the guest area, which has its own kitchen. I quietly told my niece that she could help herself whenever she wanted, so she wouldn't feel like she had to compete with her brothers for food. My brother found out about it, though, and completely lost it. He accused me of making him look like some terrible parent who's starving his daughter. He said that she already gets 3 large meals a day that his wife cooks, and that they do buy her snacks, but she doesn't need to, quote, pig out on them. He also said if I was going to buy extra food for one of his kids, I should be letting the boys have access to it too. I told him the entire reason I did it was because the boys already eat everything in the house, and his daughter was the only one consistently being left out. But I don't know, am I an asshole brother? I'm not really sure if I should have maybe just not gotten involved. No, you should have gotten involved, but what you should have done was make sure she knew to keep her mouth closed and not tell her brothers. And not tell her daddy, especially, and the raggedy mama. Don't tell them nothing. It should have been a secret. That's what you should have told her. This is for you, but don't you tell them other people, because otherwise you know it's going to be a problem. If you don't want the problem, you just want the snacks, here they are. You come over here, you get your snack, you eat it here, and then you go back over there. That's what you do. You don't take nothing from here over there because that's going to alert them that, you have something that they don't. You didn't explain it to her. She's only 13. How's she supposed to know about all this kind of strategy? You got to teach kids stuff like that. Deception and undercover sneakiness. Got to teach them. But your brother is overreacting, and that shows to me that he knows what he's doing is wrong, and he felt guilty. His reaction is one of guilt. I'm starving my daughter. No, you are starving her. If she can't get as much as she wants like her brothers do, she go in there and they done ate all the food and she gets scrapings from the pan. That's starving your child. She could end up, with malnutrition behind that. Because she's growing too. Did he forget about that part? She's a teenager. She's growing just like they are. She needs extra nutrition during this period of time, just like the boys do. So, I'm not mad at you. I think you just didn't handle it right, though. Question 12, female 22 to 27 from Atlanta, summary of issue. I want to buy my siblings out to keep and remodel our family home when my mom passes. For context, there are 3 of us. I'm the youngest at 25. My brother's in the middle, he's 27, and my sister's the oldest at 32. My mom and I are currently the only people that reside at the house. My older sister has her own home with her husband and her children. My brother now has his own apartment as well. My father passed away in December 2016, and of course, the house went under my mother's name. With that being said, as we get older, we tried to have conversation as what's going to happen with the house once my mom gets either too old to take care of it herself, or if God forbid something happens to her, certainly that same way my dad did. My mother and I have never really wanted to sell the house as it's a calm and rural area with nothing but farmers around. My brother has stated multiple times that he does not care what happens to the house, as he does not plan to ever move back in. My sister, on the other hand, is absolutely hell-bent on selling the house so she can get her, quote, her portion of the money, end quote. Recently, I've been playing with the idea of buying out my siblings so I could renovate it and keep it for myself. I would not plan to sell it after renovating it. I brought it up to my brother, and again, he told me that he would not mind either way. But today at dinner, I brought it up to my sister, and all hell broke loose. She immediately got defensive. She kept saying that she did not trust us. She did not want to hear us out. So much so that she got up from the dinner table crying, ran out of the house, and went back to her house without saying anything. Wow, what's that all about? That's weird. We were in utter disbelief and speechless. Well, so am I. We don't understand where this hostility comes from. She's never shown any interest in keeping the house. All she's ever wanted to do was sell it. We can't have any conversation about what happened to the house without her getting upset. Let me be clear. I know this house is my mother's until the day she says so. I do not plan to take the house from anyone unless everyone's on board. But my thing is, if neither one of my siblings care for the house, why is my sister the only one not okay with me buying them out? Just for clarity, Mom has only ever wanted one of us to keep the house for ourselves, and she does not want to sell it. Granted, she is still young, 53, and in good health, but I think the importance of talking about this now is that our father passed away suddenly with nothing in place. You're right. You're absolutely right. What you need to do is, since you guys live in a rural area, I'm assuming that you probably have a lawyer that will come to the house. That's what you need to get. Get you some kind of estates and trust lawyers or somebody to come to the house and talk to you and your mom about it, because she's not going to take the initiative to do it herself. So, to talk to you about it, what the options are, like, should you put the house in a family trust? Then that way nobody can sell a house. So the house will stay in the family in perpetuity for, all your descendants, or that she, I don't know, divide the house up in some kind of way. I don't know what they would do. Like if you have, space on the property for other homes, maybe divide the acreage or something, and then one person get the house with the, with the acreage with the land house already on it. The other two get, the acreage that's just sitting there. I don't know, because you don't say what size of this house is, but you do say it's surrounded by farmland, which leads me to believe that you guys are at least on some kind of little mini farm or something. But that would be the approach I would take. I would invite an attorney to the house and have a sit down with Moms, because she ain't going to do it. You're going to have to set it up for her. All right. Where are we? Where am I doing on time? Oh, I got plenty of time. Okay. Next question is number 13. 28 to 34 out of London. Summary of issue. I lost attraction to my dating app match, after finding out that he looks nothing like his photos. I'm 30 and I matched with this guy who's 33 on a dating app. Great chat, real connection, but the phone call changed everything. His photo showed an average build and pretty nice face, pretty well put together. We had great conversations over text. He's sweet, consistent, asked thoughtful questions, ticked a lot of boxes on paper. Then we had our first phone call. He was breathing heavily the entire time, even sitting up. Oh boy. At first, I thought he had a lisp, but realized it was his weight affecting his speech. He told me, credit to him for being honest, that he's put on a lot of weight the past few months because he works from home and his job has been intense. But his only plan is to start walking long distances again. No gym, no trainer, no drastic diet change, no real plan. He has a family history of cardiovascular disease, which makes the lack of urgency really hard for me to understand. This hits differently for me because I've been there. During the pandemic, I gained over 60 pounds. When I noticed I could hear myself breathe and climbing the stairs became a chore, I went on a strict diet and started running and lost it all in about 6 months. I maintained this weight loss for 5 years. I still run regularly and plan to do a marathon next year. So I know what it takes and I know it's possible. Well, good for you. What you want, a fucking cookie? I shared this with him on the call, hoping he'd say something like, I'm planning to join the gym, or tell me how you started running. Just something to give me hope that he planned to get fit. But there was no plan, no curiosity, just walking. Now, everything else about him is bothering me too. And I honestly enough to admit that the attraction was still there. I'd probably find those things endearing. He wants to meet for a proper date, and I feel guilty because my enthusiasm has completely gone. So she feels misled, but she's on a deeper level. This man is consistent, emotionally available, and kind. All the things I say I want, but I can't force physical attraction. I worry that I'm rejecting a decent guy over something like weight, which can be lost. From his older photos, he's very handsome when he's slimmer. I don't know whether to meet him or just let him go. I can't see myself with someone that big long term because our lifestyles are just too different. Well, just like you lost it in 6 months, he could too. Okay. So it's not like you aren't attracted to him. You're just scared you're not going to be attracted to him anymore because you haven't seen him yet. So you don't know what you're going to see. You don't know how his weight is dispersed. You don't really know anything. This is all conjecture on your part based on the phone call. You haven't laid eyes on him yet. He wants to take you out, you should go. Because in that way, you'll know for a fact what he's working with. Right now, everything's in your imagination. You a chubby chaser? I can't really see that what you're worried about makes any sense to worry about when you haven't even laid eyes on a man. He might be 30 pounds overweight. I mean, what? Yeah, I don't like no bony ass dudes either. I don't. I need you to have some heft to you, some muscles, and then something covering the muscles would be ideal. You don't have to be a whole bunch, but something so that if if I go to sit on your lap, my thighs aren't being creased by the bones in your legs. I need some cushion under there. Stuff like that. And some dudes are just too skinny. And I'm just not a fan. So I hear you. And then, there's some that's just a little bit too big too. But she hasn't seen him. And she said she lost 60 pounds and gained 60 pounds, but she didn't say how much he said he gained. Just, some. So I don't know. I think that you're brushing him off prematurely. Let me put it that way. Question 14. This young lady's 22 to 27 from Jacksonville. Somewhere in one of the Jacksonvilles. So issue, would you date somebody who is like you? And if not, then why do you expect others to date you if you wouldn't date yourself? Oh, this is a good question for you guys to answer. Would you date somebody like you? I would. If not, then why not? To elaborate what I mean about dating someone like yourself, I don't mean that they're identical in hobbies, etc., but more so how you are as a partner/person. For example, if you're someone who gets angry quickly, doesn't apologize when in the wrong, or if you tend to get annoyed quickly, both at your partners and others in general. Should you not either work on these issues first before dating, or at least be tolerant of others' flaws? Is it not hypocritical to expect others to tolerate us if we're not willing to tolerate them? Wait, I have to put this on the screen because Sliver is crazy. Look at this. Look what she wrote. I would be excited to date someone like me. In fact, I'm thinking of marrying myself. Go ahead, girl. A lady in Houston actually did that. She had a wedding for herself and everything. She liked this whole thing, and she married herself. I was like, oh, wow. All right. That's making a statement. But, would I want to be with somebody like myself? Yeah, Sliver doing the most. In a certain respect, yes. Creative, ambitious, quick-witted, intelligent, educated, but not overly, not to the point where I'm walking around like a PhD with my nose up in the air. Good work ethic, good cook. But you know what? It already had all that. I already had all that. That was the man that I married. And the difference was, though, my temper was, it was really bad in those days. Oh, my God. I wouldn't want to be with somebody who had a temper like mine, and I didn't. He was very calm and patient. We never got mad at the same time. Let me put it that way. He had a bad temper too, but he would be mad at a different time than when I was mad. So we was never that mad at each other. So it worked out. But I'm somebody who, I'm not gonna play games with you. You're gonna always know where you sit with me. I'm gonna tell you, even if you don't like the way I tell you, at least you will always know the facts. I'm not gonna trip around and lie to you and play games with your mind or your heart or your money. I'm very direct. So I would like somebody who could be like me. That'd be great. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And about apologizing when you're in the wrong, but I'm never wrong though. Why do I need to apologize? Only people who know they're wrong apologize. People who think are thoughtful and who, think about what they're going to do and think about what they're going to say before they do it or say it. They don't make mistakes like that they have to be apologizing for all the time. Remember there used to be this movie called Love Means Never Having to Say You're Sorry or something like that. I mean, that was a line from the song or the movie or something, the soundtrack or something. Love means never having to say that you're sorry. And if you really love somebody with that in mind of being, conscientious and thoughtful and intentional towards that person, then it's true you won't be making them kind of mistakes. You won't never have to be apologizing all the damn time. Some people just go, they're all day long, they apologize about everything. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm like, oh, well, shit, well, don't you ever think about what you do or say before you do it? Why are you always apologizing? That's so stupid. Just calm down. Don't do nothing. Just sit still and think before you take action next time. So you don't have to apologize. That gets on my nerves. I'm like, wow. So yeah, to answer your question, I wouldn't mind dating somebody like me. How about y'all? Okay, Sliver already said she want to marry herself, so we already know her answer. Oh my goodness. Okay, now this lady says, this is question 15. I'm doing a time check. She's in the 28 to 34 age group out of Los Angeles. Summer issue. The relationship suddenly got real and scary. About 6 months ago, I'm 30. I met a guy who's 34 who became my boyfriend. A year and a half ago, he got out of a very long marriage where his ex was unfaithful and which left deep emotional wounds in him. He says he's over it and moved on, but there may be some residual scarring. Our relationship has been perfect. He's happier than ever. I found someone I was over the moon about. I honestly couldn't tell you who loved who more. It was his birthday a month ago. His ex never did anything special for him in 15 years. I thought that was sad and unacceptable, and I put in what I thought was minimal effort, buying cake and candles, having his kids sing happy birthday, and pull party poppers. I don't think he ever received that sort of care. Other miscommunications happened shortly before and after that time between us, things I wouldn't think were unresolvable or insurmountable, but nevertheless, he started slowly withdrawing from me. Conversations were beyond surface level. He stopped including me in his world. I was the only one reaching for physical affection and touch. Now, I'm not sure if this is at all relevant, but he and his ex never really communicated issues or disagreement. He stopped trying because she was always defensive or shut him down, which I have not purposely ever tried to do. But amongst his withdrawal, he started to feel like every conversation we had, I disregarded him and his opinions. We talked it out and I thought we were fine, but he decided that wasn't the root of the cause of the issue, just a symptom. We had another conversation in which he said he categorically did not have those magical feelings for me anymore. He wants them back, to go back to how we were, but he doesn't know how, and he doesn't know if he even can. I gave him space to think and came back and had another conversation. He realized that suddenly this relationship has been getting serious, aside from telling each other 2 months prior that we do see long-term potential, and that it scared him. We both came to the conclusion that his past relationship had triggered a fear that this relationship would also cause immense pain, and subconsciously, he thinks this relationship may end now to save future hurt. He still adores me as a person, but has become emotionally numb towards me. He doesn't want to lose me, but doesn't want to hurt me by leading me on. He is not confident that his feelings will come back. I know he is being honest about his inner feelings. I feel like we should ride the wave and give it a proper go. See if these feelings really don't return. I am well familiar with fear responses, but I do hate sitting in this unknowing. I guess I'm just after some perspective. Okay, you're not gonna like my perspective, but I'm gonna tell you. Uh, First of all, any man that comes to you and he's telling you that everything that happened in the relationship is the woman's fault, you already know that's a red flag. That's bullshit. There's no way short of her, her going after him with some weapon and maiming, maim, kill, destroying him, and ending up in prison. And then he was like blindsided by it. That's the only time when there's not two people involved in the mess in some kind of way. It might be 90-10, but there's still gonna be some problems on both sides. In a situation like this, he's making it sound like he was like an angel and she did everything wrong. And you just lapping it up. Just lapping it up. And especially when they come out of here telling you that the woman cheated and that they have all these scars. You've never talked to this woman. You don't know why they got divorced. He could have been the one that cheated. And he's flipping it around just to use the sympathy ploy. And yo, goofy behind, don't even have enough game to be able to understand what's happening here. I'm not saying she didn't, but I'm just saying, is there the possibility that he cheated and perhaps he did as well if she did too? It was both of them, or he was the one that cheated, he trying to put it on her? Because, it works better. When a man comes into a new relationship, in order to get the sympathy and get everything he wants out of a woman, it's always better to play the sympathy card than it is to go in and talk about, yeah, I cheated on her. I was just a piece of shit. No new woman wants to hear that. She want to hear how he was a victim, how she can make him feel better, how she can pat him up and bring him back to wholeness and love him up because he's wounded. He's like a little wounded bird. So they play that game. It's always her fault. She cheated. She lied. She used me. She didn't love me. She didn't take care of me. And you fell for it. But like I said, any man I meet and they start with this stuff like this right here, I immediately dismiss them. Because it's like, first of all, what makes you think I want to hear you talk about some other woman in another relationship? What makes you think that's an appropriate conversation? Second of all, and the main thing is, you're going to be sitting up here gossiping about the woman like some kind of little neighborhood over the fence, don't have nothing to do, old lady or something. What are you doing? You don't tell one woman about another woman. The same thing I tell men. You don't tell your new man about other men on your job, men that you see. You don't talk to your dude about other men. Same thing with women. Don't no woman want to hear about some other broad. Not even barely want to hear about your mother and sisters. That's tolerable, I guess. But we don't really want to hear that either. And so here he is giving you all this stuff and talking about, that she didn't communicate to it. She shut him down. I'm thinking she was either tired of hearing his bullshit and lies and she shut it down, or that was him doing it and he just trying to flip the script and put it on her. So then he wants to get rid of you. He tried to do the slow fade and you don't get it. And you want to pretend that it's all him. He's become numb. He doesn't want to hurt you by leading you on. And he's not sure his feelings will come back. What that means is this relationship is over. But you say you feel like you should ride the wave and give it a proper go. He doesn't want to give it a go. He said that he doesn't want to hurt you by leading you on and that he doesn't feel like his feelings will come back. That means the relationship is over. Lady, come on. That's the perspective that you need. It's over. Accept it. Stop trying to find some reason why there's a loophole for you to keep this piece of relationship. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. Okay? It's not happening. Yeah. Exactly. She don't seem to understand it. And then let's see, where am I on time? Okay, this will probably be maybe the last one before we go and to take a quick break and then come back and have our guest. So she says female, she's 28 to 34 from Chicago, some issue I'm engaged, but I'm starting to hate him. I am in a relationship for 6 years and engaged for about 2. Never told anyone this, but because I started accumulating frustrations that were not solved, now I am hating him tremendously. I just can't stand him anymore. I do not know what to do. Our family bonded together, and I feel like breaking up with him would disappoint everyone. I secretly wish he does make a big mistake so that I at least have a justifiable reason to break up with him. You may be wondering what he does so badly that I cannot stand him. Well, he doesn't really do anything at all. He has no vicious habits. He's not violent. He is an introverted person. He is nice, but I just can't stand him anymore. To come home from work and to do absolutely nothing or waiting for me to do everything. Every time my 2 days off, I need to think about what to cook, make a shopping list, and then spend all my weekend cooking for the week. Then during the week, I need to cook for his lunch package for work, and all the time I need to stay with stress to always have food in the fridge. Then it's the cleaning, which he does once every 2 to 3 months. He only plays games and washes clothes, but the machine does it all, really, and he does that once a week. I live in a traditionalist country where people would consider me to be extremely lucky and see this behavior as normal, including my mom. She always keeps saying for me to take care of him as if he would be a god. But I am tired and I feel like a slave, as if I were born to serve men and having inherently no other value. What should I do? You live in a traditionalist country. Can you move out? And you didn't say, which country and what kind of rules you were operating under, but yeah, a lot of women live that life. They think that, the mothers feel like their little precious angel sons shouldn't be doing housework. They don't want them in the kitchen. Even though some of the most famous chefs in the world are all men. They said that they don't want their son in the kitchen because he might burn his pinky finger on, cooking something or on a hot pot or whatever. So these are the things, you say you have to do these things. Why do you feel like you have to do them? Can you not do them? What would happen if you didn't do them? If you went on strike? But like I said, the main thing I would start looking at is what kind of job can you get that you can have them transfer you to the UK or something, to USA, somewhere so you don't have to be in that country. Think about it. If you only get away for a year or 2, I think it'll do you it'll be good for your mental health and give you some other options, other lifestyle. Right? Okay, let me see here. I think I need an intermission. Where's my intermission thing? Here it is. Okay. All right. I'm getting all ready for the guest here. And where are my glasses again? Okay. So as soon as she comes, he'll be ready. In the meantime, I found this really these women. It was just sad. This little piece, it was a collection of women, of quotes from women on a TikTok post. And the post asked, what's your favorite everyday thing that you had to teach a man? And these are the responses. It says, naturally, the responses, which were equal parts concerning and relatable, went viral. We shared a few of the most popular ones here, but there were so many more in the comments that needed more discussion. Number one, that we don't pee out of our vajayjay. We need to bring back actual sex education in schools immediately. Number two, I had to teach my ex that a migraine and a headache were so not the same thing. It took his mother chiming in to make him believe it. Number three, not my boyfriend, but my male friend. I had to explain to him that pads stick to the underwear, not to the skin. He thought that you put that sticky part on your skin and called it a day. In his defense, he is gay and has never seen a vajayjay, but still, buddy, come on, you're better than that. I also had to remind him that women have, hair there, and that would be like ripping off a band-aid, but in a way more sensitive area. When he actually took 2 seconds to think about it, he felt like such an idiot. Yeah, because, even if he's gay, he's still a grown man. Come on now. Number four, he thought burrito was spelled Borido. Burrito. Ooh. I'm sorry. I could not date anybody who is that dumb. Just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Number five, that he needed to clean under the foreskin when he bathed. He didn't know that? Okay. During quarantine, this is number six. During quarantine, my roommate started to cook more because everything was closed. One day, I was in the kitchen as I was trying to make a meal, following an online recipe. I heard him struggling with step one. He was trying to peel an onion using a vegetable/potato peeler. I had to show him how to peel and cut an onion. He was 41. This is a collection of responses to a TikTok post asking women what kind of everyday thing they had to teach a man that they were, dating. Number seven, not me, but my sister-in-law had to teach my brother how to do laundry at like 24 years old. He was looking for his work uniform, which he was told was in the dryer. He went to retrieve it and grabbed an armful of laundry, exclaiming, "It's all still wet." That's because he got the clothes out of the washer. Okay, see, that's bad parenting because he should have been doing some laundry while he was living at home with his parents. Okay. Number eight, that prescription birth control pills do not work like Plan B or any other emergency contraceptive. I dated a guy who thought you took a pill when you were planning to have Nook Nook and that would prevent implantation. He didn't understand that you had to take it every single day at the same time every day to prevent ovulation so you're not releasing the egg in the first place. He was shocked to find out how responsible and careful you had to be with those pills and how easy it can be for them to fail. Number 9, I knew a guy who thought women all got their menstrual cycles during the full moon. His hippy dippy mom used to call it her moon time. So he built his assumption from there. I said, no, that's werewolves, dude. Can you imagine dating somebody that's stupid? Number 10, I had to teach my ex that babies are born with the capability of opening their eyes. He thought they stayed shut for a few weeks like puppies. Oh my God. Could y'all date somebody who was this clueless? I'd have to dismiss his ass. Like, you too stupid for me to date. Number 11, that a woman's uterus doesn't, quote, fall out when she goes through menopause, and that a hysterectomy is permanent and can't be reversed. Yes, Ash. But this is like, okay, there's like dumb. Okay, what is it? There's ignorant, which means you're uneducated, you don't know something. And then there's dumb, and then there's stupid. Okay, these people are like next level stupid, whatever's after stupid. That's what they are. All right, number 12. I had to teach him to boil the water before putting the pasta in. But he didn't read the directions. It's right on the package. Number 13, that bleach is not an acceptable replacement for detergent when washing clothes. Number 14, he was shocked when my niece was born. He thought baby girls are born with pierced ears. I asked him back, are baby boys born circumcised? Number 15, I was in my 20s and I went on a couple of dates with a guy who was 33 at the time. Before sleeping with him, I asked him when was the last time he got checked for STDs. I was going to use multiple forms of protection anyway, but I was just checking. He had no idea what STDs were. I sat him down and had the talk. I also explained how, in general, diseases and viruses are spread. Number 16, that not all pills are chewable. After he complained about how bad gel caps taste once you bite into them. He was 26 at the time. And lastly, number 17, one time, one of my male fellow medical students asked if you could just put a speculum into someone during a pelvic exam, the plastic or cold thing that pinches during a PEP. The female medical student had to explain with horror that no, you do in fact have to use lube. You can't just stick things in people's bodies dry. I feel so bad for his wife. I do too, actually. Okay, that was special. That was what are your favorite everyday things that you had to teach a man? 17 women responses. Ash, I don't know. I don't know. I know I had to teach a boyfriend how to pop popcorn. And not the popcorn popper or microwave popcorn. That's easy. I mean, he wanted to use the pot, the old fashioned way. And what he did was he didn't put no oil in the pot. He poured the popcorn in there, and then he turned the fire on. The top was off, and the pop, just. And then he was like, "Oh, it's not really popping." I'm like, "What you trying to do?" And then he told me, so I had to. We dumped that out, and I showed him how to do it. He was like, "Oh, our guest just got here! Yay!" Let me bring her on the stage. Kari!
Hi. No, keep going. I'm enjoying this.
Girl, we don't even know what to say about those guys teaching them those basics of life.
You know, honey, it's really not as basic as you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so not as basic. So keep going. I like these. Keep going.
Oh no, we're gonna switch over to you. Okay, you guys. Kari's talk. Kari sent me a response to my inquiry. I was looking for guests for the show, right? And she says, "Oh, my talk is called Hot Mess and Holy Ground." I said, "Oh, hot dang it, that's it right there." And so she went on the power of owning your authenticity, which I thought was very, very important because so many people hide who and what they really are for a variety of reasons, but we'll let Kari take it from there. So Kari, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kari. I am a wife, mom. My family and I just moved into, well, we bought a family compound basically. So I'm a former city girl in Kaufman, Texas. Hi from Texas. And we bought, my parents are my next door neighbors. We have 10 acres out here.
Nice.
It's so fun. We bought my daughter a horse, and unbeknownst to everybody involved, she was pregnant. So like 6 months later, mind you, we were city folk. So we had 2 goats at the time, and then a horse, and then a surprise baby horse. Holy crap. What do you do?
I know your daughter loved it.
Oh, we were terrified because like nobody knew. She didn't get any kind of like extra nutrition or hay or it was
but the baby's all right? Everything's okay.
Oh yeah, he's a year old now. We're acclimating.
Oh, that's a big change.
Yeah, but it's been so fun though. It's been so fun. Also, I am office manager for 2 separate businesses. I would like to call myself a jack of all trades, but the truth is I'm more of like a hoe of many hobbies. I saw that on Facebook. I was like, that is me.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell me, okay, what, this talk that you have, what inspired you to come up with that title?
So I was what I like to call my former life. I was married. I was with somebody for 11 years. We were married for almost 8. And for 11 years, I didn't know I was being abused because he never hit me. I had $50 a week to feed 3 adults and 2 children. He encouraged me to stay home with my kid. So he had complete financial control. If I wasn't so stubborn, he probably would have isolated me from my family too. So after looking back at how much I lost myself in that process, the finding myself again, I guess you'd say, was it. Oh man, I was a hot mess, but it was such an amazing journey.
Wow. So what kind of things did homeboy do?
There was constant belittlement, like all the time. It didn't matter what I said, right? And I'll kind of get into some of it. Well, no, I really didn't put him that much into the talk. It didn't matter what I said. He always knew better. And all of my friends, I didn't have a lot of friends. I'm kind of introverted, and he ran them off. Like he always had excuses why he didn't like them, why he didn't want me hanging out with them. There was one night I went out with his best friend's sister, which was my best friend. And they were having a big concert at like one of the radio stations. And like, he was constantly texting me the whole entire time. When are you coming home? Who's all there? And like we invited him to go. He didn't want to, because, that's not fun. He wanted to sit at home and pout. And
play the victim.
Oh yeah. There was so much self-victimization. It was ridiculous. But because he never hit me, I never realized that the manipulation and the control, that those are abuse tactics. 11 years.
So what finally made you wake up?
I think it was when my mom finally said to me, it took her 11 years. Like, she didn't like him, right? But she finally said the word abuse, and I was like, holy crap, that's exactly what it was. Exactly.
Oh
So,
boy.
yeah. So I will kind of get into this part of the story. There were so many like cyclical fights. You know how those kind of cycles go. So it was an adventure, and I had a daughter that was a baby when we met, and you know, the love bombing, I bought in pretty quick. And so after we'd been married, I think 2 years, we had a daughter together, and watching him with them was awful. I hoped on everything that he's changed and he's a happy person and all that yada yada, because I want that for my daughter. But
yeah, probably not. If he's, you know, that much into being a fool, he's probably going to continue to be one.
Yeah, probably.
Well, you take it away whenever you're ready. We'll
all right,
be
well,
all ears.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am honored to be here. I'm so excited. And can I tell, like, I was watching earlier and I could see there was people in the chat. That was so exciting.
Oh yeah, if somebody puts a comment to you, what I'll do is put it on the screen so that you can see it. I'll move it over to the screen.
I gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, I do want to shout out to you. I was looking at your page. It looks like you do a lot to help a lot of people. I
try.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Blood pressure has recently become a thing in my life. Yep. So I'm still adjusting to that. But to anyone on here, I really hope that, I hope that you look at all of this as a growth opportunity. You know, we could all be scrolling and pretending to watch cat videos. We could all be pretending that our life is perfectly fine and avoiding personal growth altogether. But here, investing your time into this, that tells me that you're somebody that wants more. Maybe it's healthier relationships or more confidence and maybe more peace. Maybe just a deeper understanding of who you are. And really, that's such a beautiful thing, because growth is not easy. Growth is messy. It's uncomfortable. It's humbling. It's very humbling. And that's why I call this message Hot Mess and Holy Ground. Because when I look back, I spent so much of my life trying to become who I thought other people wanted me to be. And really, I look back at that version of myself with a lot of compassion, because I wasn't trying to be fake. I wasn't trying to be somebody that I wasn't. I was trying to be accepted. There was a point, one of my ex-husband's friends, he was kind of my friend too, because I had known him longer, but he got me a job where he worked at the railroad, and it was giving me the financial opportunity to get out of that marriage. So we were talking one night during shift change, and we'd had a lot of conversations throughout the years, right? And he told me, he was like, you know, you're a lot smarter than you let people think. And like, at first, you know, that totally is a compliment. That totally feels like a compliment. I'm sure he meant it as one, but really it kind of hurt, because in that moment he saw it, that I wasn't being truthful. I wasn't being me, because I did have a lot more intelligence and brain power than I let these people really think, you know? I wasn't trying to be fake. I was just trying to be accepted. And by my ex-husband, I was trying to be chosen, not tolerated, not settled for. I didn't want to be the person that somebody just put up with. I wanted to be chosen. And when that's what you're looking for, sometimes you learn that you make yourself smaller just so people will stay. And whenever you do that to yourself, you can't really lead you can't lead or love or build something meaningful from that place. If you're spending all of your energy trying to fit somebody else's version of acceptable, you're just doing yourself a disservice, honestly. There's this whole pattern more evident, more obvious than in my marriage. Sorry, my phone is tripping. So for years, we followed this cycle of ridiculousness, is what I call it. It was the exact same script. We would argue, I'd reach my breaking point, and I didn't believe in ultimatums. I always thought if you're going to give an ultimatum, you better follow through. Well, I never really thought about the time frame of that follow through. So I'd always tell him, like, you need to get into therapy, or I'm done, I'm leaving, or you need to go see counseling, you need to deal with your anger. And, you know, then he'd do the whole thing that he'd cry and that I'll get better, I promise, all that stuff. And there was, my favorite was that I'll quit playing video games. I'll stop playing video games. We'll spend more time together. And you can roll your eyes because I do too. and the truth is, things would get a little bit better until they weren't, which was usually about 2 to 3 weeks once I let my guard down. But then the last time, after I got this job and started really getting some comfort underneath me, I realized that the cycle only perpetuated when I participated. So I stopped. I told him, you know, I'm done here. And he was like, no, I don't accept that. Well, bro, it don't matter if you accept it, because I do. And I finally did. I finally accepted it. I packed me and my daughters up, moved into my parents' house, and it was amazing. It was such an adjustment, but man, it was so worth it. I learned a whole lot in that period. I started learning how to set boundaries. Now, I don't know if there are people who naturally know how to set boundaries, because if they do, I would like to interview them. That is never something that I haven't understood. I'm still learning all this time later. Hi, I'm Kari. I'm a recovering people pleaser. But it was such an awesome learning experience. I would not trade any of it for the world. But when you're new to setting boundaries, setting one doesn't feel brave. It is terrifying. And sometimes freedom and fear show up at the exact same time. But really, that decision to set that boundary, and I did. I'm done. That was it. Filed for divorce. End all be all. You know, it didn't just end that time in my life. It created a space for everything that came next. A healthy relationship, a better version of me, one that didn't feel like I had to shrink to be loved, right? And it was so beautiful. But I really had to learn how to trust my voice. And that was a whole entire journey. My oldest daughter, when she was 9, she was going through some medical diagnosis, and she was being tested for celiac disease. And along that way, we found out she had eosinophilic esophagitis, which, if you're not familiar with those are treated by food. Food can make her really sick. And so the problem is food, but also the treatment is food. It's lovely. So during this process, we got the positive blood work, and it was like a 3-month wait for her first endoscopy. So all the testing and procedures, it took years. It took 4 years just to get a doctor to run the blood panel. So it was a lot of stress, I had to learn to find my voice at that point, because doctors were telling me everything's fine, there's nothing wrong. And I kept having to say something's not right. And her symptoms didn't match on paper. Like, she's not a textbook case of it. But anyways, in the process of it, I went down this rabbit hole in that little time period between the positive blood work and the endoscopy. I went down the whole rabbit hole. When I tell you, I researched everything for weeks, medical journals, support groups, forums, recipes, more medical journals, kitchen safety, and a theme that kept recurring was cross-contamination. And the little crumbs of stuff can get stuck in scrapes in your pans and in your utensils. So I was on the phone one day with one of my best friends, and I was just completely spiraling. I was trying to figure out how I was going to afford to replace all my cookware, all my utensils, all my plates, because I had those, super cheap Walmart plates for 50 cents for like the whole 4-pack. And he yelled at me and he was like, "Oh my God, Kari, that's not how that works. You are so dumb." And when I tell you, 10 years later, I still want to punch him in the throat. I should have, but I had learned that when somebody dismisses you that quickly, usually they know better. I guess was kind of how I learned, because it didn't feel safe usually. When somebody dismissed you, shut you down that fast, it felt like they must know better, right? But this time it was different, because this time I had done the research. I knew better. And most importantly, I knew my job. My job was to keep my baby safe, protect the baby, burn the kitchen down if necessary, right? Sometimes authenticity looks like trusting your voice, even when somebody dismisses it, especially when somebody dismisses it if you know what you're talking about. And then that lesson did ultimately show up a lot of times in my life, because fast forward a whole bunch of years later, I'm an office manager for a general contractor. Awesome family, awesome dude, love these people. And it was about a year into working there, and he was like, "Okay, you're a receptionist right now. You're an office assistant right now. We're going to bump you up to office manager. And I need to get you a little more outside of your comfort zone in order to do that." Right. So I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this." I'm so gung-ho. I'm so excited. And then a couple months later, he says, "All right, Kari, you're going to start networking." I said, "Excuse me? No, we're not doing that. Absolutely not." He said, I need you to start networking." I do not agree, sir. Not at all. The morning of my first network meeting, I cried. I was such a nervous wreck, and I probably cried after too, because at that point in my life, walking into a room full of strangers and introducing myself and giving a whole 30-second blurb about a business that really wasn't mine, like that felt like a whole body absolutely not. Every single alarm bell in my nervous system was going off. It was danger, abort mission, where's my onesie, get back to the couch, freaking out. But your nervous system doesn't always know the difference between discomfort and danger. Sometimes growth feels exactly like a threat. But I kept going. I kept showing up. I kept introducing myself. I kept having conversations. I started having one-on-ones. And I'm going to tell you this story. And she knows this about her. I love this woman to pieces. She is one of my favorite humans. She is an amazing human being. She's a little abrasive. Okay, she's a lot abrasive. And she was my very first one-on-one. Okay, so I get there and I'm kind of an oversharer, like a lot. Like I'm a chronic oversharer, right? And this was only a month into my networking journey. So I didn't really know the protocol. I didn't know what I was doing. I have major imposter syndrome. She owns like 4 businesses and I don't even know what else now, but like she had her stuff together and I'm over here falling apart. And she's like, "Kari, you've got to think bigger." And I was like, okay. So I left that one-on-one and I was like, oh my gosh. I called my husband. I was like, "I want to vomit. That was terrible. I bombed it. Oh my gosh. I can never show my face around this networking group again." And I called her, like, I gave it 2 weeks to let it, go on and let it blow over. And I called her and I was like, "Bro, I'm going to need a redo because that was terrible." And she laughed. And later we met up for coffee. I don't like coffee. It's gross. I had hot chocolate, but I met up and now she invited me to a Bible study group with her. We're amazing friends now. I like to tell that story in front of her because she laughs. But ultimately, something changed in me. I realized I actually did love it. I wasn't too much. I am awkward, but I'm okay with my awkward now. I was no longer the version of me that I had spent years being afraid that somebody else might actually see. I was actually getting to be me. So when I stopped performing and I just showed up as me, I didn't just survive in those rooms. I flourished in those rooms. And being authentic isn't always elegant. Sometimes it looks like running a business and raising kids and healing wounds and trying to remember where you put your phone while you're searching for it with a flashlight on. Or sometimes it's when you get up to give your 30-second spiel and your chair makes very suspicious sounds. So you have to tell an entire room that was not your butt, because that was embarrassing. But authenticity isn't elegant. It's just real. And that's exactly why I call this message Hot Mess and Holy Ground, because those moments that feel the messiest, those moments that feel the most uncertain, the trusting your voice, the healing, the growing, those moments are often the exact time where something sacred is happening inside of you. That moment when you stop performing and stop shrinking and just start telling the truth and trust yourself. Those moments really can feel messy, but they're so sacred. So if your life feels a little bit messy right now, if you're growing and healing and learning to set boundaries, trust your voice. Even if you're losing your glasses and they're probably on top of your head, that just means you're becoming. And because of that stage in my life, because of that growth, the confidence that I have now, the peace I have now, the whole entire life I have now, none of it came from being someone else that someone else expected me to be. That messy, uncomfortable, stretching in between place, that created who I already was. And it wasn't random or wasted. It was sacred. And that, my friends, is holy ground. Ooh, I talked a lot faster than I thought I would.
No, that was great. We had a couple of comments. I want to show you these. That I thought I had boundaries, but I barely enforced them.
Oh, hey, I could see comments. I didn't know that. I was in private chat.
Oh. Well, there you go. That's one.
Hey,
and then
cool.
Here's the other that came in. Ghost blocked someone.
I tell you what, that blocking mechanism, my ex-husband is blocked on every single social media. It was beautiful. That day that I did that was like step one of my growth.
Yeah. Blocking is the bomb. That is it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. When in part of your journey, did it include learning how to say no to people? Was that part of your struggle, or did you already have that part down?
Oh, no, it depends on the person. It depends on the person. Saying no is still really hard for me because that was deeply ingrained in me to not inconvenience people. So I'm still working on part of that. If it's my mama, I'm just never going to be able to say no. I love that woman. I'd do anything for her. But
well, mothers are different. But like other people, usually, partners or like people at work and that kind of thing.
I'm in such a unique position that I don't really have to. Like the networking thing, I probably could have said no, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I really shouldn't have. I'm getting better at it. I will say that. I'm getting better at
it. What do you recommend, like, for someone who because a lot of women struggle with this, they finally work up the nerve to say no, right? But then the person they're saying no to comes back with, well, but, or why not? Well, can't you? Oh, come on. This kind of thing. So they're trying to negotiate your no into what they want you to be.
Yeah.
Did you struggle with that as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. My favorite go-to is I do not have the capacity for that. I use that all the time on my kids for dinner. They ask me what's for dinner. I do not have the capacity for that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not my specialty. I'm still, like I said, I'm in such a unique position now that there's not many people I have to set boundaries with. With my ex-husband, it was super easy because I'm petty, and the petty took over. And so my mom is going to watch this. So I'm going to apologize in advance for what I'm about to say, but I think she'll understand. It's okay if I drop a F-bomb on here.
Girl, please. You must not have listened to any of my videos.
I did. So my favorite was when he would text me or ask me something or pull something. My favorite was to tell him to fuck off. And I did that like almost every single interaction that did not involve the kids. I told him fuck off. And man, that felt so good. That felt so good.
They make you feel like you're going to beat your chest like King Kong.
I did. I sure did. I was over here fist bumping. Yeah.
There you go. You got a question here. She wants to know, is trusting yourself connected to self-compassion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it is. Because I have so much compassion for my younger self, just because she did the best she could with the knowledge and resources that she had. Right. So there's that, but there's also a lot of not like setting things in place to not let yourself down. I think that goes into trusting yourself too.
Agreed. Like some women don't listen to their inner voice, even something as important as telling them that a date is dangerous or a situation is dangerous or high risk. They shouldn't be around this person. They should leave. They poo-poo it or say, oh, I shouldn't think like that. Or I should be nice. Nice. I hate that word. Nice.
I think a lot of that is some women don't know what their intuition sounds like. I didn't. Obviously, I was in an abusive relationship for 11 years. I had no idea what my intuition actually sounded like.
What do you think is a way for people to, I know you said that you're still struggling with this, but what's the steps to start getting on the path to learning how to set boundaries? What did you do?
There is a book called Boundaries that my mom recommended to me. Honestly, I never read it.
No.
I would start there. I probably should have read it. Really, most of my boundary setting experience came from my ex-husband, because I had to learn to put those things in place to protect me, to protect my kids. When I moved in with my parents, my grandma also lived there. So there was one point that he got a little dangerous. And in order to protect everybody in my house, I had to really put some hard boundaries. And that, I don't know. I don't recommend going about it my way.
Well, I mean, that's honest. I mean, because I do about 25 letters a week on my advice column. And I'd say a good 50% of them are from women who have little to no boundaries. Because the relationships that they're in, they may not always qualify as abusive, as much as yours did, but there is a marked amount of disrespect in them. So, and they take that too.
Yeah. After a while, I got real disrespectful back. I learned that I no longer wanted to be subjected to that. So I got real disrespectful. And it was nice to give that back for once, instead of just putting up with it and de-escalating. Man, that's probably not the most healthy relationship advice to be giving.
Well, I mean, it's what I have. My motto here is match energy.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's whatever's bad or good. I'm just saying You know, you match energy. So if your partner is giving you drama, you know, disrespect or whatever, I mean, you give it back before you decide to leave. You don't just leave and just leave them scot-free. You have to give them a dose of what they gave you, and then you leave.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, you don't let them off scot-free.
Right.
Well, this is really interesting. Do you guys have any other questions for Kari? Because, you know, I only begged for people to be on here for 30 minutes. I wasn't trying to tie up everybody's night. So any other questions before we let Kari go? I really enjoyed this discussion a lot. So you're so forthcoming, and I think it's helpful to a lot of the listeners to see someone who's actually gone through it and come out on the other side, and her life is great now. You know what I mean? It gives them hope and inspiration, because they're really people are terrified of putting in boundaries and moving on from relationships just because it's what they're familiar with.
Yeah. The growth in like the life that I have now is so made every single second of the discomfort worth it. Made every single second worth it. Just the healthiness of my relationship, the like respect that I'm given, the affection I'm given, it absolutely worth every single second. And
you're glowing. You smile. You just look so happy, girl. Showing all kind of 200 teeth, and she smiles like, oh.
Yes, and absolutely, Kimberly, peace is so priceless, worth every second of discomfort.
That's excellent. Do you have a website where people can find you?
I'm still working on all that. I'm kind of new to this. I am on Facebook, Instagram. I'm terrible at TikTok. So I'm going to say both of those at Kari Camacho 713.
Okay.
And I do have a guided journal workbook situation on Amazon called Authentically Activated. That's been a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay. Well, I'll put links to it in the show description when after the show. I didn't think to do that beforehand, but I'll go back and edit it and add those in. So anybody who wants to find her, you'll just be able to click a link and find her on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Yeah, I went to school in Houston. I spent a few years down in Houston, Texas. So Texas girl, go ahead.
Yeah. I like it. I've lived here all my life. So that's all I know.
Oh, well, good for you. Well, we'll see you soon. And I'll, reach out if you have any questions or anything, or tell me, take a look at the link once I update it. If anything is wrong, just let me know.
I got you. Thank you.
I do make typos. All right. Talk to you later, Kari.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, that was great. I enjoyed having her. I think, this is what we always talk about, you guys. We always talk about boundaries, saying no. How many videos have we done about boundaries and women still struggle with them? But it's like, they see a boundary as a bad thing, like, it's going to hurt somebody or something. Boundaries are not bad. Boundaries are good. Boundaries, encourage people to respect you and treat you the way that you should be treated. If people feel like you don't respect and respect yourself, then they feel like, well, why should I? If you don't even treat yourself that way. So it's something to think about. Okay. Yeah, that was Kari Camacho. So we had two good guests today. Let me show you guys what's up for tomorrow. We got another 30 minutes, so we'll fill that up in a minute. But this is what's on deck for tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. Pacific time as well. We got 3 days of this. This is day one, about to wind down and come to an end. So tomorrow we'll be talking about boundaries specifically with Angela Lenhart. And then we got a lot of dating advice questions and I'll go over the rest of the articles that I have set aside for you guys to talk about. And I'll take some calls tomorrow as well. I didn't want to today because I had two guests. But tomorrow and Friday, I only have one guest each. So if you guys want to call in and talk about something that's interesting to you, then you'll be able to do that. So think of a topic and come with it tomorrow, okay? So let's get on to these Here we go. Let's do some more advice questions because that's what I do. Take that off. I don't want to hear myself. Let's do some more advice questions. Poor Kari, she's like, is it okay to drop the F-bomb? I'm like, girl, that's like our favorite word on this channel. Okay, here we go. Question number 17. And you know, I have 80, excuse me, 85 questions. I know I'm not going to do all of them in these 3 days, but I have them. So this is number 17. She's 22 to 27 from Kansas City. She said, summary of issue. At what point do I report this behavior? I live in an apartment complex. The way it's set up is 2 upstairs units share a set of stairs. The stairs are supposed to have a door code. This has been going on, an ongoing issue of kids throwing rocks at cars, riding bikes and scooters around with no regard for safety. A few kids have almost been hit. And being outside yelling and cussing in the middle of the night at 12, 1, and 2 a.m. Quiet hours are from 10 a.m. to 7, and the legal curfew is 11 on weekdays and midnight on weekends. Our door code is the same as the same in the building, but the issue we've been having is these kids will come into the shared stairwell. Keep in mind, they don't live up these stairs, and they'll scream and slam the door repeatedly. They are rough with the door. We have noticed the door has started malfunctioning. The complex has issued warnings about the children being unsupervised and the behavior of the kids already, but things escalated today. I have a front door camera, and yesterday I was on the phone, and I heard the kids come in and start screaming and fighting. I checked the camera, and I see the 2 girls are physically hitting and shoving a boy. They ultimately push him onto the stairs, and at this point, I had to get off the phone and open the door and told them to cut it out. Then a few hours later, they're back in the stairwell. They turn the lights off. This time, 2 girls just outside the door fighting before they all run off. I'm all for kids playing outside, but this is ridiculous. If I was acting this way, my mama would have grounded me, and I certainly wouldn't be unsupervised outside anytime soon. These kids are physically fighting and screaming and cussing in a building most of them don't even live in, and in a stairwell they have no business being in, given that none of them live up this set of stairs. Any advice on how to handle the situation would be appreciated. Well, what you want to repeatedly do is write to, put formal complaints into the management about the kids. If you can figure out a way to sneakily take photos of the kids so that you can identify them. You got any idea what units they do live in, that might be helpful as well. But what you want to do is you want to set up a reason why, if this keeps up and they don't do anything about it, you can break your lease and you can move out and move somewhere else. That would be one thing that you could do. Also, what you could also do is, if it's late at night and these, depending on the age of these kids, you could call the police. I would call Child Protective Services. I would call all kind of people on them to have them just make their parents have a world of trouble, because the kids running around unsupervised like that and getting, about to make people hit them and all that stuff, like that's a danger to the children. So CPS should definitely be involved. Now, whether they actually come out on it or not is not the point. The point is you want to file the claim. You want to file the case. You want to file it. Because if something goes down later, you can say, hey, I advised them that this was a problem. Now the kid is, deceased. They never did nothing. You see where I'm going with this? There's a big case like that in Oakland now. The Child Protective Services in Oakland is in trouble because of some stuff like that. And a little girl turned up missing. And nobody knows where that girl is. They done lost a child. All kind of stuff been going on. But, that's what Child Protective Services is there for. But they don't know that the stuff is happening until you make a case. And since there's so many of the kids, so you want to back it up by filing a claim with the apartment complex over and over. Every time they do it, you file a claim, a complaint. And then you file one with the police and you file with Child Protective Services. Now, you asked me what I would do, that's what I would do. I'm a firm believer in documenting bullshit. So, and then if I decided that I found a better place and I want to move, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to move. You violated my privacy and my peace of mind. And I have all these police reports and all this documentation. And you're going to give me all my money back too. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to have no problems out of the people because they didn't do what they're supposed to do to protect your peace of mind and quiet occupancy of the unit. So that's how you do, but you have to set everybody up. So you do that part first. Question number 18. This is a female, 22 to 27 from Boston. Summary of issue. I'm a first-time dater. I think he's stringing me along. Hi, Deb and squad. I've been seeing a guy from a swipey thing for 2 months. We met up once a week. He was the one to schedule each next date, except when this issue started. I'm 27 and never really dated before. He is 31. His profile said that he wants a long-term relationship. Oh, they always say that. A few days in, I realized he was texting me back infrequently or went silent for a day or two. When we met again, he said he was sick. He hugged me then he said, I have to. And then he just kissed me and walked off to his car. This was my first kiss and I was very confused. We don't acknowledge it and we meet the next week. This time he holds my hand and we kiss again. But the following week we go to a beach. There was no one there. And he said, let's do this. And he started kissing me a lot and kissed my neck. I was very shocked. We walked to our cars and I asked if he wants to make plans again. Girl, you was just too brand new to be dating a clown like this. He has told me since we first started meeting that he's going away for a work trip and going to his hometown until July. I texted him and asked what he wants from me because I feel the pacing is off. We get physically closer, but I don't think he ever complimented me. We meet up. He says he'll delete the apps. I deleted mine too. We make final plans before he goes, and he replies more frequently. But midway through our date, he said his female friends who are visiting had let the dog out and could not find him, so he had to go. Yet he had time to stand by my car, hug me, and then make out more. I asked again, what are we? And he said exclusive. I said I acted very idiotically. No, I think I acted idiotically. I think I'm getting strung along. He texted me saying that the dog was found, but other than that, it's been quiet. It's a change of how he was before. And I'm not sure where this leaves me now. I wish I didn't let him continue making out with me to the extent he did because it feels like he's only wanting that. Well, that's because that's what it was. My question here is, what do I do to not look more desperate? And he was on his phone a lot, looking distracted, but kept mentioning future plans. Everyone I asked has had answers which don't help me. But I find out that if I feel so horrible from this, it's probably a sign. Thank you, Deb. Okay, since you never dated before, but see, you're 27 though, so I mean, you should have been reading up on this kind of stuff. You should spend any time on this channel. You should have been listening to these videos and all these games that these clowns run like this. Come on now, this is you just acting way too brand new for this. So I'm going to tell you this. Okay, you met a clown for a swipey thing. And then he was texting you back infrequently and went silent for a couple of days. That was the sign that he is involved with other women. That whatever he had with you, it was just, a very super casual situation. Nothing to put any stock in, nothing to put any emotion in, definitely nothing to invest in physically with your body. Okay. Then he said he was sick. They always say that. They either say they were sick or if you call them and they answer, they were sleeping. It's always one of those two things. Okay. So then he kisses you. Okay. Now, he didn't make sure there was no real, warm up to that. No, kind of fuzzy feelings, no deep conversation, no reason for him to just haul off and kiss you. That was a way for him to test your boundaries. That was a way for him to do what I call the whole test, to see if you was going to react positively or negatively. And you acted, you said you was confused, but you didn't say anything. Like, you're supposed to say, look, I don't know you like that. Keep your nasty lips to yourself. Kind of gum disease and shit you got, gingivitis and whatnot. No. Okay, so you sitting up there. So then he holds your hand and he kisses you again. But then you go to a beach, but there's nobody there. That was very dangerous. Okay, don't ever do anything like that again. You don't be going off to no place with nobody like that. Okay. Then he kissing you and, he's trying to make out with you and get you all hot and bothered so you can slide into that back seat where there's nobody there and have his way with you. That's what that setup was. He wouldn't even have to pay for a hotel, wouldn't have to buy you a meal. He wouldn't have to do anything, but he would just be getting some free booty. That's what that was. Okay, so don't you ever do that again. Then the next thing he says, so then he's like, he's going away for a work trip and he's going away till July. Okay, he done hooked up with somebody that he's going to be spending all his time with, that person. So when a man tells you that he's not going to be around for like 2 months, because this was May and then he talking about until sometime in July, what does that mean? That means you write him off. You want to have a relationship with somebody that you see more than once every couple of months. So when he's told you that you're supposed to also, when you guys, you have a good time with your family, whatever, in your hometown and whatnot, and it's been nice talking to you. Do you go to your phone and you block him? That's what you're supposed to do. Instead, you text him and ask what he wants from me. Like you don't know. And he's sitting up there with you asking him that is basically communicating that you're either stupid or desperate. Okay, neither one of those is attractive. So he's never complimented you. I mean, why he can get, he'd get busy with all over your neck and all over your body and stuff without even doing anything or spending really any money. He didn't really court you at all. Okay, so then, he says he's going to delete the apps and you deleted yours too. Well, that might not be a bad idea because I think you're a little too naive yet. You need to spend more time on this channel before you start to deal with these clowns on the internet again. And so then he had to go midway through your date. That's actually good. You let him make out with you some more though, so that was not good. But at least he left before he, went any further, so that was good. And then you asked, what are we, which you should never, ever do with a man. And he said you're exclusive. Okay, but he said that word to you. But what about his behavior demonstrates that he's exclusive with you and that he wants that kind of relationship with you? Please explain that to me. Why would you listen to a word that he said? Okay. He just throwing that out there to see if you dumb enough to listen to it, and you were. Okay, he's exclusive. You ain't exclusive. You were right. You did act idiotically. I mean, it's good that you noticed, that you are aware of it. That's 90% of going to the next level. Okay. You're not sure. You say you're not sure where it leaves you now. It leaves you the same place you were when you met him on day one. Nowhere. He's not committed to you. He's not your man. He's not your boyfriend. He's not your fiance. He's not your husband. He's not your baby daddy. He's nothing. Okay, that's where it leaves you. He didn't make no idea. He said, well, we exclusive. What does that mean? Where is he exclusive with you at? So now you say, what do I do to not look more desperate? You go in his phone and you block your phone and you block him. Now these man's with you, he want to make out with you, but he on his phone, he's distracted and he keeps mentioning future plans. He only did that because he knows you're naive enough to believe it. His behavior and his words don't match. You always look at a man's actions, don't listen to what he's got to say. You look at his behavior. And his behavior said he just busy. He out there just doing whatever he's doing with as many women as he could do it with. And, just running his little game, seeing who's going to bite. Now, you said people gave you answers that weren't helpful. I hope that mine was helpful and that you have a better understanding of what you're up against here. All right. Yeah, I think I'll stop here. We'll stop here for today. And we'll pick this up again tomorrow at 3:00. I'll show you one more time what's on deck for tomorrow, Thursday. It'll be day 2 of May Dayz. It's the 3 days in a row of 4-hour live streams. So we'll start at 3. We'll talk some more. We're going to have an open floor. You guys be able to call in and talk about stuff that you want to talk about. And then we're going to have a coach talking about boundaries. And then we'll go back and do our own thing for the rest of the 3-hour time period. All right. So I'm going to get myself something to eat. And I'm going to do better tomorrow with my organization because I don't have no snacks or nothing. But you guys take care. Be here tomorrow, okay, at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's 6 if you're on the East Coast. And we'll do it all over again.